PM pending change orders. Yeah, so these are just PCOs, and somebody already did one. I see, I don't have to, you guys already did all this.
I don't think I did. I don't think I really did anything with it other than just.
Oh, you did something. You did something really, you did good. You got the right type in there. It's nice to see, I mean, I'm being a little, I'm trying to have some fun. It's nice to see that you're actually using the software. Some people that come in and it's like I've gone over it with them. They forgot everything we talked about the last time. And they've never done much of that, nothing.
We were that way about 6 to 8 months ago or so. Yeah.
I mean, because it's,
now we're nervous, so.
Yeah.
well, you know, I get a little frustrated. I've been talking with my wife, like, hey, you know, I taught them all that stuff, and then we went through it all over again, and I think I'm doing it the third time. And my voice is getting tired. So, I'm not a grid person. Can we go to the info?
Yeah, Don's told us about those people. We got grid people, we got,
Yeah, and so you know you do have the choice,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So you know you can go to farm property.
except for when you're in the middle of doing something.
No,
You
no,
go
no.
one way and that's
Right,
the
no,
way
you don't want to do that, but you can default it depending on, I think some of ours, I don't know, somebody made the choice.
Mm.
But you can choose whether to default it as a grid or as a form. I'm okay with using the grid if I'm going to do some entry, but I like to explain it in the info, and then you guys can go your own way.
Okay.
You already made colors and choices and stuff, right? You did some things, made purpley stuff and things. So these date fields aren't defined yet. So date 1, date 2, date 3. So see if you can hit an F5 there. See if it actually takes us over to the form. I don't think so.
No.
F5? Yeah, nothing. Okay. So we'll minimize this. And now I have to remember where to go. Let's see. So let's try document types. And let's go to the one that says PCO. Yeah. Oh,
There it is.
there it is. Okay. So that's where it's coming from. So these are the ones that you would say, okay, so what things do I need to track? So I'll give you some choices and then you can pick the ones, pick something else, because that's usually the way it is. So it's just, you get 3 date fields. So you get to track 3 sets of dates, if you want to. You can actually, you notice there, you can actually like not have them show even, but typically people want to track something on the date, like date sent or date approved or date submitted or date issued or date.
Would there be a creation one or is that stored somewhere else?
No, these are, yeah, they're, now see, I gotta remember. I think there's an actual date on the PCO besides the other date fields. Let me just, well, I'm over here, I'll take a look at it. I just don't remember that.
There it is.
Yeah, I thought there was a date in there. So that's the date that you actually are doing it.
Okay, so we don't need that one.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so let me go back to document types and see what other choices we have. I like to give you some, and then a lot of times people just come up with their own. They're pretty smart, you guys are all. So ours is date originated, requested sub/supplier price, sent for approval. Usually they don't like those so much. So it's just something that you think that you might be tracking already. You put one in. I don't know about date originated because the date originated might be the date I've got there.
Mm-hmm.
It could be date. I don't know. What are you tracking? Like if it's date that's sent for approval, then the date that I, so it could be date submitted.
Here's our, we'll use, so really the only dates we're tracking are the date submitted, date accepted.
Date submitted, date accepted. Because that doesn't have to be the date that I Yeah.
date approved is probably a better term to use.
So only two, or do we have a third?
We're not currently tracking any third date.
I don't know what it would be either. Date submitted, date approved.
It could
Or
be,
revision?
yeah, because if you got date approved, that means it came back approved, right?
Would there be one in the middle, like a revision that can or can't be used?
Well, we stuck something in there, which is we sent out requests for, other pricing. So that's like, okay.
Was that from a general contractor?
Yeah, this is like probably a GC doing this, saying.
And I would expect that from a GC because, their change orders are comprised of 95% of the volume of their change orders or
So they have
subcontractor costs.
They've got lots, and then they can't send it for approval until they get all that pricing. So for you guys, that might be good
Something
enough,
like
right?
that.
And then if you say, oh, I really want to do something else, you can also track items. So there's date fields.
Saw that down there.
Yeah, and those are usually blank because we have fields filled in, but we don't even show them. So we don't typically put something at the item level for more dates. We're really just tracking the main one. Okay. If you save that, we go back to that form. If you still got it open. And click your, yeah, there you go. Click there, perfect. See?
Sweet.
Yeah, it's no too much. How long you been doing this? For 6
Too
months?
More than that.
Yeah, you got it all down. This is actually fun. This is pretty cool, this one.
Change orders? Or
Yeah,
stuff on them?
this is pretty easy. Okay, so you've got a description and you've got a details. So the description's a short term, the details can be like, I don't know, it might even be unlimited.
Yeah.
So I usually have I'd have you fill in both of them, just so you can see. Yeah, see it's good, yeah.
0.
Right. So I just fill in, a description of the PCO. You noticed it, well, you didn't notice it but it automatically numbered the first one 1 as you're going across. It just says that's the first one. So this is PCO 1. We're going to fill in some information, and then we're going to create multiple or at least one item under PCO 1. So, and you can have a lot of items, or you can have one. Remember, we're all about a header and a line. So we're gonna go.
So number 1, you could write that as bulletin number 2 costs.
Number 2?
Yep.
Okay.
You say controls revisions associated with bulletin.
Yeah, you may. This might be somewhere else, and it's really great if you can just copy and paste it in there.
Right.
So you don't have to type a whole bunch of stuff. Okay?
Bulletin.
Well, that's all right. Nobody cares too much.
There's no spell check in
There is.
there is? Okay.
Somewhere.
Or you have to click a button?
Where is the spell check?
Yeah.
Spelling.
There you
I
go.
spelled it right. Right there. There's the button.
That does a good job, I guess. So you just
We'll see. Yep. So
change to,
There we go.
hopefully the dictionary is correct. Okay, so you tab through it, it assigns a priority. I don't know if the default on that particular type might have been a medium priority. So, you can change it. It can be critical.
Okay.
Depends on what it is, right? So do you do everything through a PCO, or does the owner actually just give you an approved change order?
No,
Okay.
I think we would call them probably COPs or CORs now. It's our vernacular until it gets approved, and then it's a change
Yeah.
subcontractor change order, SCU.
Yeah, even in a case where if they were to issue us a change order, I'd probably create a change order I'd probably create a change order just to keep a one-to-one relationship anyways.
Oh, no, we'd do it, but we would just go to the approved change order form. Like if they said, here, we just want you to do it, you don't even have to ask for it. You didn't need to do this because they just I don't know. They initiated the whole thing. You could just go over and enter it in a different form. So we'll get to that form either.
Just not as a pending.
Yeah, because we go from pending to ACO, hopefully. So, you can have a reason. I like to put a status in there.
Oh, I see. So
these are reason codes. We don't really have very many reason codes. You don't have to put a reason. You can leave it blank. The status, I usually try to track that. So if I've got, those are my status IDs.
So like,
Or status codes, but it's still those status IDs we looked at this morning.
I'm a little anal about tracking change order statuses. Is
Yeah.
there any way to add in status types and then sort by them? So like I like to sort by not submitted proceeding, meaning that we have extra work that we haven't submitted a potential change order on, but we're doing the work anyway. And then like pending, not proceeding, like they've told us to do it, but we're not proceeding because we're not going to do it until they pay us. Or pending proceedings.
Oh, you got, okay, so yeah, we had them right here.
And the reason I do it is because
You don't have
I
to
like
be anal about it anyway. That's good.
I like to know how much cost we have at risk, how much extra work we're doing without getting paid for it at the time. And then when it exceeds a certain value, then I start asking the PMs like, hey, can we sit down with the client and figure out when we're going to get paid
Yeah,
for this
because
stuff?
we're out, because
Yeah.
they don't.
They don't track. They don't
Your,
track,
your contract says you will just do it, right? Yeah, and the GC, we were the same way. We just got stuck doing it. And then, in the end, you're hoping you can.
recoup.
Yeah, so what do you have, you don't have a whole lot of leverage there. They got retainings, they got everything they need, and it's, what do you do? I mean, I guess you file a lien and claim.
But I've found that if you have the conversations, before you get to the end, you have a better chance of.
Yeah, I mean, if they know that it's not part of the original scope, and it wasn't part of the original, that if it's outside of it, it was hopefully they're reasonable. Okay, so we can add more right here.
Excellent.
So even though, again, it says status IDs, just think of it as, everywhere else it's codes, and it's the status.
I love it.
So I wish they just kept them the same, but probably two different programmers wrote it, and one of them thought IDs was better than codes.
Okay. So we could add those.
Yeah, you can add whatever you want. And you can, so sorting, you can use the grid to sort,
Or
or you can go over to that document.
or this and create a validation that only allows it for those ones that filtered list. Because that goes across all codes, right?
Yeah.
RFIs, everything. So if we wanted just for change orders, I could probably create a validation lookup.
Yeah, that would say these are only valid. I mean, the other thing you can do, if you go back to those, but close this and go back to do your F5 there. And you remember it says, uncheck active for all forms. So here you can,
Okay,
This
that's what I was
grid, yeah,
looking for.
yeah.
There we go.
so here you could just say, these are only for.
Pending change order.
Right. Right.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Kinda
now
like
get
we
that
did-
list with all the RFI ones in there. We could just make them just for pending change orders.
Yeah, so then way,
Awesome.
well, you can keep them separate.
Yeah, no, that's what I was looking for
Yeah,
actually,
that's
so that's
right.
perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I was thinking is that Justin was saying that he wants to be able to sort. So you can go to the grid and you can sort by that column. So any of the columns can be sorted on, and then it'll put it in probably alphabetical order.
How difficult would it be to get a custom report that will create a column that does a summation of each of the different statuses? This is currently what I use.
Oh, so you want to know like you're summing on that, the status?
We could do that in Crystal.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just send this to you and then
Yeah.
you can review it.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, because as long as they're in there and you're just summing, it won't be that hard because it's just a formula.
Yep.
I mean, it's a little different than, Excel's really easy.
Is it just a filter of all those line items under a category?
Somewhat, yeah. It's
With
a
a sum
little
total though?
Not quite that simple, but
Okay.
you'll
You
see.
just said it to me,
But
yeah.
mostly that simple.
Okay.
And then let me just, I just want to do a real, I'm going to look over here and see. Change order types, pending change order summary. Pending amount, pending status. Yeah, we already have a report that says pending change order summary, but it doesn't have the, it doesn't sum by those, but it's already got the dollar amounts and the status.
Copy that over and modify.
Yeah, so you could just copy that probably and go in and say, oh, now give me a sum. Well, you know what, I didn't, what does it do down here? Yeah, it just doesn't summarize it, so at the bottom, you could just do a
Add a
summary. Yeah, you could do a summary, because this shows you all the PCOs
Mhm.
and where they're at in the process, but not a summary of the dollar amounts that are pending or final or fully approved or whatever.
Okay.
So there's usually a report that you can copy. Okay, so we got those status IDs, so you just pick one of those, like whatever the opening status is on a PCO.
Yes.
Because that's important for you to know where it's at, so it could be in process or, working on pricing or something. I mean, I don't know, you had a whole bunch of cool ones.
Yeah.
So this is who it's initiated by. This is not a list that you get to add. So this is, what's that?
You can't add to that.
No, this is a preset combo box. I mean, we do have those. You do have the ability to create those kind of lists, but you can't add to any of ours.
Okay.
At least
So if we initiated it, it'd be internal?
yeah, typically, yeah, I would say it's an internal. I mean, sometimes, again, it's kind of
Oh, that's right, you're from a Bolton, right?
it's kind of a GC based, so you notice subcontractor is one of the choices.
Yeah.
So it'd be you guys are initiating it to somebody.
There we go.
So this is,
Bolton, that's where the Bolton goes.
Yeah, bulletin number.
so this is a really fun one there. Like if you look at that field, I like it says interim reference number. I think that's funny. I just, every time I go here, I always do an F1 on that.
1031?
Interim reference number.
Jeez,
I learned my number.
I guess so. Isaac already knows his employee number.
I've seen it pop up here, like.
He's all 1039.
1039.
If he knows anybody else's, that's it.
Yeah.
Old stocking going on there.
So, the change impact, right here, those check boxes were set at the company parameters level, meaning there's gonna be a change to the estimate, which is the budget. There's gonna be a change to the contract, which is gonna be this number. And then there's possibly gonna be change to subcontracts or purchase orders through this. Because you can initiate subcontract and purchase order, change orders through here. You don't have to go over and write. Now, some people don't like that. They want to do this and then they want to write those separately. You can still do that too. It's just up to you guys.
Okay.
So you have the choice to, and just because they're checked doesn't mean you have to. It just means it opens up some things. Actually, the fields down below that you can actually then pick an existing subcontractor to write a change order against. I've been cautioned that we don't try and write a new subcontract on this form. It doesn't work well. I've never tried it, but I was told by actually somebody that works for Selling. You ever do any work for them?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's an ex-consultant. She works for them now. She was a project manager. She said, no, don't do that. Okay, if you say it, I'm going with it because she's used the product, this particular module way more than I have.
She works for them in what?
She works for them and I forget what her title is.
But doing this
She
type of
moved
stuff?
to, what's that?
Doing this type of stuff?
Yeah, actually, I don't know what her, I think she's back in the construction side of things. She was, she used Vista as a project manager for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, then decided to just become a consultant and not have to do all that hard work.
Everybody likes to just become consultants these days.
Well, you know, it's, no month-end close, so I was a controller for a long time, and, you know, you can't take vacation at certain times of the month. Well, now I can, as long as you get in, you can do whatever, and there's no requirement. There's no like, oh, you gotta be there to close the books. I don't have to do that. I don't have to make any, responsible for showing that we made money, like we were profitable. Like, worry about all that stuff, cash flow and everything else. Just come in and talk to people. So, the lump sum, so the pricing method, it can be unit price or lump sum. If you check unit price, you won't,
Do it or?
no, I'll wait, because it really is on this tab that it makes a change, then it opens up units fields, and you guys may need to do that, because I saw that you were doing some unit stuff before. So now we're gonna enter an item, so.
Sorry, going back to the change impact estimate, what does that truly, clicking that box, what's it do?
So what this will do is, if it's not gonna impact the estimate, I can't enter anything on this tab.
And when define estimate for me.
Estimate's your budget,
Okay.
so these are the costs that you're gonna incur. So this is kind of like a very rudimentary, like estimating tool. So as long as I have a dollar amount and I know when I enter an item here, what it's gonna cost me, and then I put markup on it, it will calculate that and it will change this number. So let's go up here. We didn't do a date submitted, but I guess we don't have one yet and we don't have a date approved, so we'll just leave those blank. This is the rough order of magnitude. That's just to give a general idea. You could put in a dollar amount and send that off and say, this is what we think it's gonna be, put in all the, and then just put
Instead
that
of doing all
on.
the line items that add up.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then say, okay, so here's where we think it's at. Just so they've got an idea of what it's gonna be. Or I have a lot of people that say, well, I'm not doing that. That's gonna be 0 and I'm gonna figure out what it is before I send it to them.
It's like the SM coding module that didn't have this, and that's what they added in the new version. Actually.
Yeah, it actually has, but there was a little bit, there was the derived option down below.
Yeah, but
And-
it wasn't fully working.
No, it didn't
Now,
work,
now
right.
it does, I guess.
Right, it works, there was some, the SM's really a very complex module, so there's a lot of things that, you know, interfaces, I mean, you do some stuff and it just makes postings.
Yeah.
And you don't even know that it made them, it just happens.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, it's over someplace. And it's hard to remember all those different interactions. This is a little easier. Yeah, there you go. So, you still need an item.
Would you also like to update the status?
I
say tab.
Yeah, sure.
Our standard task code list.
Okay, so that just means it's good. I'm not sure why we don't even have an item.
There we go.
There we go, okay. So it just means that it's gonna
But
bring it
I
down.
have some thought for that, so
Plus here, is this
it's nothing to worry about.
Well, it says right down here,
Oh, you got
We'd
it.
still have a list, but it would
which
be.
on any
sort of-
easier to find field, you can
I'm
have
only here
that
Monday
too.
and Tuesday.
You can tell people what to put there, right? Sometimes people say, yeah, if they can't figure it out, then it's not gonna be here anymore, so they should just know what they're. But yeah, you do new, and then, I don't use the force phase, that's something to do with forcing some, that I can't remember what it is. So change in days, how many days am I gonna get for this? 0 days, okay. I'm gonna leave that contract item blank for now.
Well, let's go to in here.
Okay, so go to the info tab just to see if I missed anything.
Yeah, then they charge you
All right, so it's not a fixed amount. If I want to put a fixed amount, I can click that, and then I can just put the contract impact in there. But if I don't, then I go to, yeah, there you go, and I add phases. Now, the only issue with doing this is if I add this phase, I have to add it to the project. Well, if I don't get the pending change order, now I've got extra phases on there that I may not use. So some people put in a phase that's just like a current one. You can change it.
Once it's approved.
Well, not really. Because see how that's on the double line there?
Yeah.
And you can't. So you have to, you gotta use an existing phase, or you could just say, I'm gonna throw it all into one phase, and then if I get it approved, I'll split it out later into the correct budgets. So I can put in here my numbers, or, I mean, how certain are you? I mean, most of the time, do you get these, or you're just kind of, I mean, you have to create the phase anyway if you're doing the work, right?
Right, or add it to an existing.
At least we
Yes.
captured as extra work.
And it doesn't go to the phase until it's approved, right?
Well,
Correct,
and there's a good chance it'll never get, I mean, that's never gonna get charged to the phase because it's gonna, it's gonna be $2,500 added onto a $262,000 contract.
Yeah.
You don't know exactly when that money actually got spent.
Sure.
Yeah, so this is just, so if you want to do it to an existing phase, so there's all the existing project phases.
So this is the only module, real fast, this is the only module where you can actually add a phase code directly. I mean, besides the phase codes. I mean, this is the only module where you can actually add a phase code.
Correct.
Create one, create one.
Well, if you have access to it,
Okay.
so you probably can.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Not
not
everybody
everybody will
can.
have this, correct?
Okay.
Right, so this is where I can add a project. These are my project phases. I can pick one. If I need a new one,
Mhm.
well, then I've got to click a setup and add another phase.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. And so I could look from the phase master
Mhm.
and I could say, okay, do I want to pick one of those?
I gotcha, but it's not adding our change order number at the end.
No. So go ahead and let's see if we click one of those. I mean, I don't know, which one should we pick? Something,
32,615.
just like that, you know that?
Oh, wait, no,
Wow.
is it 615?
Here, 32,
Let's see if it's already on the project.
6, there it is.
It's already there.
That was the one we did earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if you come back
He
over
always has an
here,
excuse as to why he's so smart.
yeah, see, it's already there, so I can't change that one. But if I wanted to add a new one, so click your little undo there, because I think we already saved the other part. Now I had 32,615.
Well, I guess it'd be,
Where's your thing, like
space,
What's this?
1.
3 spaces?
Yeah. 1.
Did it
You
work?
just throw zeros in there. You can't do 32,615, 0, 0, 0,
You could.
0, 0, 1.
Yeah, you can leave it blank or you can throw zeros in
It's just
there.
gonna leave blanks.
It says it's got 3.
You like blanks over zeros? What do you guys think?
Is that 3 or 2 in there?
Zeros.
I like zeros.
Maybe you only have 2
Yeah.
spaces. You have 2 in the second one?
3.
Should be 3.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 3.
I think they're might just.
Really shrunk. Okay, so now if you do an F4, you probably don't have any cost types in there, but let's see. Yeah, so we need to pick one. So what are we doing here? Labor?
3.
Okay. So you tab over. What's our estimate amount?
2538.
Okay. Bring this down just a little bit.
Is that it? Or is it 2, 6,
That-
6, 4, 9?
Yeah, you can go.
Oh, that's what.
You can go up a little bit. I don't care about it.
Oh,
I
it's
just
just
want to
applies
see
marker
that.
after the.
Oh, gotcha.
That's right.
Okay.
I think you enter the. Actually, I don't know what you entered again.
You
Oh,
know,
you put the markups on a separate.
That's something I haven't
Yeah,
heard about too.
right there.
I don't, if.
Well, you'll see that here in a minute. Once we get around to saving this, it's going to put that number right here.
I believe it did.
And once we mark it up,
It was a big name.
it's going to increase it.
It was.
And then what's nice about this, you can actually see on that totals tab, your costs and your profit. It's pretty nice, actually. So, are we writing
You
a
can't-
PO
you can't.
or a subcontract?
I guess the
Change order?
vendor would be Johnson Controls. There would not be a PO for it though.
Okay, so it's,
It would still be on
so
hold,
do we
though.
have an existing
Those invoices are
subcontract for
all
this?
still on hold in the system.
We do actually.
Good, so if we do an F4 in there, it shows me all the project vendors with an existing subcontract. So it's Johnson.
That's what I said, I wanna see it.
They've already
because
got
I
it.
wanna
There you go.
Understand what's happening. How else
And
you can
you
check
come over
against
this
the
way.
held invoice, because you can't do that.
It already put
Back
that
up.
SL
But she's
into.
saying, no, this is one.
Yep, so there's the SL number, already brings it in, it makes it
I'm
item.
a little suspicious.
It created a new one for that.
It's okay, people do that all the time. It's, so it adds another item
Look deeper.
automatically. The purchase amount
Project with.
is the same as the subcontract amount, so I have to, even though the estimate is over there, it doesn't pre-fill here. I know it says purchase amount. It's a little, I don't care for that because it sounds like it's a purchase order, but it's not. You could say procurement, I don't know, you could call it, you could change that to something else if you didn't like that. But it could be sub/PO amounts. It's just, at first, when I first looked at this, I go, well, that's purchase amount. Where do I put the PO number?
What does that end up feeding into?
That'll end up creating a change order on item 7 for that subcontract. This dollar amount. What I'm saying is the number you put way back there, you gotta put it over here too.
That number right there.
The 25, yep.
Do you even have to do that for material as well?
If you're doing a PO, yeah.
So PO you would have to.
Yeah, but if it's just labor or something like that, you don't have to.
So we can count in though, and we can say.
It's a little different. If you're doing a.
So what was one of those names you used for the header? The PO, what was it?
Well, it was procurement, because that's what, on the work center, we call it procurement.
Okay.
But you don't have to,
What would be a label that would be better than purchase amount?
I guess it's gonna be tough for a PO because so I'm kind of in parallel entering change order number 2 from the job. And we'll never be able to isolate, it's gonna be just probably 20 feet of copper pipe or something, but we'll never be able to isolate that because it just got incorporated into the.
so you won't write a change order to the PO
Right.
for that?
So from
Okay.
there, could you just leave the purchase amount blank?
Yeah, because then it won't, right, you could.
Okay.
Well, you know what, now that I said that, let me just make sure.
And when it gets approved, and executed, it'll apply the whatever material cost to the correct phase code,
Mm-hmm.
increase our budget. Okay.
Yeah, because it's 385 out of, probably $20,000 worth of pipe that's gonna get bought for that.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna disappear and
If you had to apply change order costs to individual purchase orders, you'd probably have your time, right?
right.
So let's see, I gotta make sure it's this one, didn't I do something? Let's see what they did here. Okay, let's, I just gotta see what they, okay, that should work. And that's contract change amount, not very much. Yep. So actually in my system, it actually, they hide all that. You show hidden field, yeah, there they all are. Estimate amount, yeah, purchase amount, they left it blank. So you could leave it blank if there was nothing that was relating. If you weren't gonna do a subcontract or a purchase order, you don't have to put anything in the purchase amount. If you are, the purchase amount is what is gonna update it's gonna be the change order amount. It's gonna be the amount on PO/SL item 7 will be written for whatever amount you put there. If you leave it blank, it's gonna write a line item for 0.
So in my mind, I think, so like on Citizen, not on Citizen, but Stonebridge Marriott, if you had a purchase order for the Wayland heat pumps and the owner decided to add a level, you needed 12 new heat pumps, then you'd probably put that purchase order on it. But if it's just commodity materials, it seems like more
Just leave it blank.
work than it's worth, or there's probably no worth to figuring out which purchase order that
Yeah.
20 feet of copper pipe.
You just put the budget in
Yeah,
there and then
and it
if
would
you
be
need
a
to, you can always write it after the fact.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people don't even deal with subcontracts or POs here. They don't write those change orders. They just get the amount, and then if they need to, they'll go write a subcontract change order on the subcontract change order form or the PO change order form on that form. They'll just write it later, like after the fact.
I wonder if we might want to do that.
It just made it, for
Just
them, I
write
guess
the
it just
change
made
order
it cleaner.
Yeah.
Because maybe right now, all they want to do is get the pricing in. They don't really know who they're gonna, maybe they'll use them, maybe they won't, who knows? I mean, you might have had to get pricing from them, but that doesn't mean that you actually have to give it to them, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So if you don't fill that amount in, it doesn't, and so you can come back and you can actually, if you say, oh, I didn't want to do it that way, you can come back over here and you can actually remove the vendor. And then it all goes away. So all I'm really doing is I've got an estimate of $25.38 for a subcontract type cost. That's what I think. But I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I don't know if I'm gonna give it to the existing sub or somebody else. So you could do it either way. You just don't wanna do the new SL box. For some reason, that doesn't work very well. So we just added, that's 2,538. If you click save, which, yep, there we go. I'm not sure how it works. So then we just put it right there. So that's adding these lines. So this is gonna add a new phase if we get this. And it'll automate, and then, and it's already, it might already be on the project. I'd have to go look, because you might want to start posting to it, right?
What I remember them saying was that this was the only module where you can create a phase code on the fly without having to go through the setup.
Yeah, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, exactly, that's what they're saying.
So let's click on the markups. So it only adds the cost types that you've added on here. So since you notice we've only got 3, so you can have an internal and a contract. So if you do the internal, then you do the contract. This is in addition, it's like we're marking up our internal. So if you put something in here, like for your contract markup, it'll change that, and so I mean, it's pretty simple.
Gotcha.
Hopefully, we're gonna do some markup, because otherwise, we're not gonna make any money. So we're gonna have some kind of a
What would be
markup.
there?
5.
Oh, 5, my gosh. You don't make much on that.
Not on subcontractors.
How about your own labor? Do you get to mark that up a little bit?
15 probably.
So, you notice the contract change amount increase?
More hours.
So this is now the gross, that went there. If you click on the totals, it shows you, and you bring that down a little bit. These forms sometimes are a little, so, it shows you, here's all your costs that are involved. There's your contract amount, your estimate, and there's your markup and your
Wow.
profit.
Wow, but 126 bucks.
Well,
And then
but if you
for,
do a couple of hundred of those, then you're making maybe.
That won't even cover
10
the
grand.
time.
No.
There's a lot.
Figure that shit out.
Yeah, not doing for this little amount. Yeah.
right, so add-ons, that's where you said we could add bonds and stuff like that. But some jobs will allow you to put in like an amount for parking, or put in an amount for, like a percentage for tools or rental equipment or something like that.
Okay, so is that an add-on, do you think? Or that's just a contract amount,
I guess you could go.
but do you also increase your budget at the same time? Because there's a potential for incurring costs?
Right.
Right, so that's what an add-on is. So an add-on is a little different than a markup is strictly, I'm getting some profit. Some money.
Right.
So an add-on is saying, well, yeah, we're gonna add on to the contract amount, but I'm also gonna increase a phase code estimate, budget, whatever. So I'm adding, because I'm gonna have cost.
So would staff overhead be add-ons, like project management, like I'm sure I
Sure,
could put a couple
yeah.
PM hours on this?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
cover-
if that's what you think, I mean, if it's, unless you wanna put it into the estimate itself, you put in so much labor for somebody, like management time or whatever. Or you could have it as an add-on if that was what they allowed. It just depends on, one of them is going to increase the contract amount and the cost. The estimate kind of does the same thing, but it's really saying, oh, it's a cost I'm going to incur and I get to mark it up. So it just handles it a little differently.
Oh,
You can also mark up add-ons.
Where are the add-ons shown?
So,
Oh,
yeah,
add-ons.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what the final
But you
product.
can't just put one in here unless you
Have
gotta
to be
do,
in the add-on.
you have to add them over on the company parameters.
Can you have this always pre-populated with a certain set of add-ons?
You can if you do it at the project level,
Okay.
and then it'll populate.
Because I want that as a check so the PMs go, well, did I ask for parking? Did I ask for PM? Did I ask for extra detailing? Did I ask, and even if they have to
Yeah.
put zero in, make it a field,
Yep.
they have to type something in.
Because it'll default from the project. But they won't just, you could add them manually here, but you only can add them if they're set up. So it sounds like those add-ons are the ones that you just mentioned. And that's kind of nice because it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's kind of like maybe overhead recovery or something, some kind of a thing, like add-on. Because it's like bonds is a typical one. Oh, somebody had another one, and I can't remember what it is now. It was some other option that they added. But that would be just like what you just said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
we
do
would say
like
parking.
parking, small tools, detailing, project
Yeah.
project engineers, foreman, superintendent.
Yeah, that could just be, okay, we're gonna take the net before markup, and we're gonna do these add-ons. And those add-ons are gonna add cost, but they're also gonna increase the contract amount, because there's, just for $2,500 of cost, there's other costs that we incur.
Ancillary costs.
Yeah, that go along with that, and it's just part of the deal.
Mhm.
In the add-ons, can you hard key the amount of money you want that add-on to be, or is it always a percentage basis?
It can, I think it's a percent basis only. I don't think it's a fixed amount.
That's not very.
Because usually it's saying, what's your basis of it? Like, what are you gonna base that add-on on? And that's typically the way it works. We'd have to, if you do an F5, I don't think there's a, yeah, there you go. Oh, do an F5 again.
So some of those might not be add-ons and they'll be direct.
Oh, I can't get
for
far enough
cost.
into it. Yeah, it won't let me get all the way back. I have to get back to the company parameters. Because if you did an F4, there's nothing there. We'll since we're here, we'll create, maybe we'll hold off and do this
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we're gonna run out of
How
time
about
here.
that? I don't want to rush through anything, and I want to finish up on the PCO too.
Right.
We'll go back and we'll cover add-ons again.
I think tomorrow would be helpful to just open up our change order template.
Oh, so
show
we can
to
make
you.
it an,
You can make it an amount.
Amount, okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah, one thing I want to just, I'll make a note for tomorrow is I want to see what the actual printout of the change order looks like to see how that,
yeah,
because on this particular project, for instance, just the terms on change orders are such that like all the overhead time is kind of getting captured through just inflating the other stuff because it's just a difficult customer. So,
lucky you, I guess.
So a change order though, is that a create and send template or is that a crystal?
No, the only one that's a crystal is the PO. All the rest of them are templates.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
PCO, we have an ACO, but typically nobody uses those because the owner sends it. You don't have to send one. You're sending these. It's, it's adequate. I'm not going to say, we don't really know what they should be. And everybody's got their own way of doing it, what they want it to look like. Well, so we create a kind of an idea of a very generic one. I think if we did too much, then it'd be just too much to get rid of and change. So we make it pretty basic.
Gotcha.
The subcontract, I don't know, that's really old. That was probably from even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The wording's not, it's just some generic wording that we got out of a subcontract that you could get off of some form page.
So it's something we can massage. And
Yeah,
do whatever.
so we'll take a look at,
Okay.
I'm gonna So we're gonna look at, we'll come back to the add-ons tomorrow morning, and then we'll come back over.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, you see the history there? Yeah. Says what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's got some, I think it's also got some history up above.
Oh.
At least the things, I think it does up there, like where, yep.
Oh, wow. Description has.
Yeah, it's
been
actually
changed.
pretty nice.
Preference has been
It
changed.
keeps track of every
little
little
field.
thing, yeah. Sometimes that's a little bit too much, but it's pretty good. We'll revisit the add-ons, and then we'll just come back and start the PCO process. Okay, and then we're gonna need. So if we go to company, yeah, there you go. And let's see, we don't usually do very many. Yeah, we have sales tax and bonding fee. Oh, here we go, one's a cost, so we'll do that.
Maybe a W for warranty, and do it as the 1%.
Yeah, you can't really, I think that might be a number. It
That's what I was
says
looking at.
enter to add,
Yeah.
enter an add-on number. I think you can actually, I mean, it looks like from here, I can put in any number I want.
But it's gotta be numeric.
Right, and it doesn't have to, but you might be able to put in like 5 or, but other than that, yeah, it has to be numeric, because it says enter an add-on number. And it doesn't give you much of a choice, right? So,
Will the,
yeah, 0 to 255, that's what you get. But the description will always show up.
got it. So will this only be an admin level to set these up?
It's gonna be it'll be at the company parameters level, so whoever has access to this, but you can add them to a project. So they don't just automatically get added, you pick the ones. And then what you're gonna do is a lot of times what I did is I just left, if it wasn't the same, like say a bonding fee of 1%, okay, that might be just always 1%. But if it's not the same all the time, I just put in zeros and stuff in the field, and then somebody would have to fill it in at the project level.
Right.
That's applicable for that project. But if you've got some that's like, small tools is always the same little add-on amount.
Yeah, for the most part, they
Yeah.
almost say.
Can they change the amount at the project level?
Yeah, they can.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's what,
Good.
so I had a customer that needed to do an add-on that was sales tax, and I can't remember why. But, so we just left the dollar amount blank. Well, not blank, we made it 0, because we didn't know what, every job was gonna be well, there might be some that are the same, but you had to be, it was project specific. So yeah, you can do that. And
Okay, so we'll just add parking.
yeah, and then the standard, it's kind of a funny field. I mean, if you look down there, it says, check if this add-on will be used for all pending change orders. So I checked them all because that's typically where I'm using them. If you don't check it, let's see what goes down. Just get the programs. Sometimes the help doesn't take you right to where you want to be. It takes you somewhere else. Probably got that quicker than me. So I just usually check that one.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to round to the nearest whole dollar.
I'm sure.
I'm just trying to get down to. Okay, so let's see. The basis was an amount. Is that what we were gonna say?
Yeah, or the parking is an amount.
Yeah. let me just make sure that that really is going to do what we want. Let's tab, there we go. Click here, all right. All right, so the add-on basis, all right. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, you can just use a flat amount or you can use a percent. So if it's just, is it a flat amount? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a flat amount.
Just
It'll
like
be-
$5 or
It has
$10?
to be calculated. Typically, we take the field labor hours added to the change order divided by 8 and then multiply that number.
Okay, so it's not just a percent of something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a calculation.
okay. So that'll just be and so we'll just make it, yeah, there you go, you found it. So that's the, that's how we're gonna, where we would put it in. If it was calculated first. So it's a total, and then what do you want to happen after that? So it's where the add-on is going to be calculated. Is it like after markup or
It should be before markup.
before? And then they would mark that up, right? So
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 the
the-
total,
yeah, so you might think net total, right?
plus markups plus net.
So it's what I think that's going to be more. Well, some of that's really going to be more based on
Five cycle method.
Yeah, so if I'm saying like, okay, I'm going to take the number I've calculated, but I'm going to calculate my add-on as a percent. I think it's more, those are more like if you're using a
Percentages.
cost or something else to
Okay.
calculate it on, because some of them are based on what's the cost in the change order that's related to, labor. Oh, and then I want to take a percent of that. And do I want to take the percent of that cost after, like before markup or after markup or whatever the other choices are? So when it's just a flat number, I don't think any of that's going to make any difference. And if it does, when we test it, we'll just fix it.
We want it to auto get the phase.
Yes, I'd put it to parking.
Do you have a parking? Oh, you do have a parking phase, and it's other. There you go.
I don't know the contract. I don't know the zipper per job.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's it.
So let's see. We
We don't
used
wanna
net
rewrite
total.
revenue.
It was cost. So the next calculation level. Let's back up. Let's see. So we used. Oh yeah, they were going to do it as a cost was going to be the basis. Okay, so they did it a little different.
So
Oh, yeah, amount, okay, I got it. I did another one, let's see, I'm gonna do 20. What are we calling this one? Parking?
Yes.
I'm just setting this up so I know, 'cause I wanna do it the same way. You're not rounding right, and you're using an amount, and we don't care about that, and the amount is blank, right? You left it 0?
Yep.
Net total. And let's see, net calculation, we'll just say total, or what are my choices?
It didn't give me choices.
Yeah, it's not letting me put anything in.
Yeah,
What does this say? Check to include add-on amount to subtotal, I don't know.
Might give you an option if you.
It doesn't give me any option
Correct.
there. I don't have to pick any of those. Okay, I'm just gonna click save. It's not a whole lot of choices, is there, when you do amount? Okay.
So contract item isn't important to,
We wouldn't know. Every job's gonna have different contract items, that's your schedule values, so.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if I can, let's see what it tells me. It says, it's only needed if you specify a phase, so, indicate to which contract item cost for this add-on will be posted when pending change order is approved. you're not gonna know that.
Well, if we have a parking contract item
That same across all.
and that phase is pointed to that contract item, wouldn't you really have to put contract item in order to get that contract item to increase once this is approved? Or would it just say being directed to the phase, increase that contract item?
I think this might just be an override, and I think with the phase, if you have it set up under whatever that variable is for contract item, it should
Auto adjust.
auto adjust.
Once it's approved, yeah.
Yeah, I would
Just gonna
think so.
put that in, let's see, if I tab over.
Seems to me it's
I'm
just
gonna
an
put,
override.
other, and if I put the contract item, what do I have? Yeah, it doesn't know what that is right now.
There's no lookup, there's no nothing.
Now, let's leave it blank though, and then we'll do something else. Okay, so now you've got it, right? So we
Yeah.
entered one. Okay, so let's go back to that, go over to the, that project that we were working on,
Mhm.
whichever one that was. So go to PM, yeah,
PM,
projects.
oh, not change orders?
No, back to PM projects.
PM project, where is it at?
Over the next one over. It's the last,
There it is.
yeah. And we should bring up the last one we were working on, and now there's an add-ons tab there. Yeah, there you go. And now you can pick, if you do an F4, you'll see that, oh, there's my, click there, all right, there's your parking one. Okay,
How did you get that top one to set up well? Or the top, when I went to project add-ons, isn't, or at the top row that you clicked on?
you should have just clicked in it.
Yeah, just cancel that. What are you talking about?
So if I F4 it,
Oh, it's not added in yet.
It should
I just
be,
added it to the project now. I haven't
you have
saved
to, you have to pull up the company level ones. See, there's
it. So now I
another,
just saved it. So now-
there's another radio button there, a little circle.
oh,
Should
okay,
have
now,
two choices.
He's under.
it just showed up now, yeah.
Oh, he's on the change.
I had to add it to the
Yeah.
project first and then.
Yeah,
okay.
It allows you to
Yeah.
change.
If you don't add it to the project, I don't think you can add it
I
to
haven't
the
changed
change order.
amounts yet. Oh, you're doing it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so here, you could put in the amount if you knew how much it was,
Mm-hmm.
or you can just leave it blank again, because maybe you won't know until you're doing the PCO.
Mm-hmm.
Because every PCO, the amount will be different, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just going with that.
Yeah.
So tab over now, and is that phase on this job?
Should be.
So if you tab over, and then we'll go back to contract item.
There.
Yeah, and then, yeah, click in there, and do an F4. Now you
There.
can, now you can assign contract items.
So I'm thinking about it more actually. Typically, our clients don't like us to roll approved change orders into the schedule of values, the initial set of schedule of values. They
Could be a
like to have
separate phase.
separate change order
Oh,
contract
yeah.
items to bill against. Yeah.
So you won't know the contract item
Yeah.
until, so you'll assign that at the PCO level, but we won't assign it until they actually approve it. So yesterday, on the PCO item area, on the info tab, there was a contract item,
Mm-hmm.
but you could leave it blank, which we did, because we really don't want to assign it unless we get it.
Yep.
So, but you can't approve a PCO without a contract item, but we can create a new one called change order 1 or change order 42 or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how you number your, do you use like CO1 as the contract item?
Mhm.
Or do you use like 999 or something, or some weird,
It would be
not
change,
weird, but some number way at the bottom down there?
no, change order 1, change order 2.
Right, so those will end up at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's typically what we like. I mean, that's what I like to do. I like them to be out of the way of everything else, not so they can see it. Some people, some customers like it intermingled, but they want it, like if it was, like I was talking yesterday about 10, 20, and what I'm impacting is like the item 40. But I don't want it in item 40. I want it in a 40.1 because I want it right next to what it relates to, but I don't want it the same because otherwise they're not going to know and it changes and everything's all messed up.
That
So,
makes me wonder too, since it is for a change order, would we want that phase in there? Or are we gonna have it and the change order generate another phase?
Well, you'd never be able to charge to that phase. I mean,
Through that.
Why is that?
I mean, if it's for a change like this where, you know, whose parking receipt is gonna go to that phase? I mean, on a big job where you just have 15 people coming to work every day. And-
But all the parking's going to the same phase, right?
Right, but to create a change order phase,
Yeah, I'm
nobody
saying,
would ever charge to it.
sure, I'm saying just move the parking cost to the parking phase so that,
Right.
you know, in reality, more than likely, we're gonna park well before we get an approved change orders. The cost is already gonna hit that line item. So adjust that budget line item by the approved change order amount so that we're accurately reflecting, you know, performance on that phase.
Yeah, so
Right,
there's
so we're
no
not
change
changing
order
it.
phase for parking.
Okay.
It's not it's not like a real job activity, it's just something that happens.
Okay.
Even now with our current, you know, company, I don't think we have a specific policy, but, you know, sometimes we open a 900 code to track change orders. Sometimes we adjust the budget by the approved change order amount into the, you know, the originally set up task code. We kind of need to set up, you know, business rules of when you do what.
Yeah, and typically you're not supposed to, with the change order entry software, it's supposed to add a dot, you know, and then the change order number,
Yeah.
to whatever phase codes are associated with the change order.
The only issue with that process there is, you know, the work is typically done well before we ever get an approved amount. So all the time still hits just
The regular phase.
original setup. And so we get all these line items where we've overran the original task code, and then we've got this task code where we got no labor that's posted to it.
And you're
but
adding the
budget.
budget there,
Yeah,
but
so
it's up above, yeah, I get it. Okay.
Okay, so that's at the, okay, so now you can close that. And now we can go back to the pending change order. Now, since we did it after the fact, I don't know if it'll, now it'll just be an option, yeah, PM pending change orders.
There it is.
Yeah, let me put the parking in.
Yeah, so if you go to add-ons, or is that the one we're on? Yeah, is that the one we did bulletin costs? Okay. So then if you did an F4 right there in that add-on field. See, and I don't think you can add it to the project unless, I don't think you can add it to here
You can't, you just.
unless it's on the project. I mean, I just don't think it'll let you do it.
Yeah.
You got it. It's kind of
Show
a,
up in the lookup.
yeah, so the add-ons is, you gotta carry them at the company level, then you gotta add them to the project. Then they can be available for PCOs. So there's and so here you would just do your calculation and put in the dollar amount, right? So if you put in some number, I don't know what it would be.
And it does not, from the looks of it, it does not mark it up.
Oh, it's not being marked up?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So if it's something we have to mark up, we can just put it in the estimate purchase details.
Yeah, so,
Well,
I wonder if it's the selection we made on
Yeah.
that total.
yeah, we're gonna have to do, we want it to change because, we wanna know go back to the, yeah, there you go. Yeah, let's try that one. I'd have to reread it too, because it's not that clear sometimes.
how we test.
Yeah, if you go to the totals.
Totals.
Yeah.
Add on.
Yeah, so there's no, it's not marking that up.
Fix that grand total maybe.
So the contract amount is 3164. Yeah, I'm just thinking about this. It didn't increase my,
Let's try this, I'm gonna re-add it, because I don't know if the calculation just changed.
it didn't throw in,
That still says net total. Then we change it to subtotal.
yeah, but it didn't change the cost either.
Well, that's what I'm gonna, here, watch this, we're gonna do this, I'm gonna go here. Bring it back
Really?
in, it's still saying, oh, You know why? It's at the job level. It's overriding, I'll bet.
Oh, you gotta reassign it to the job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm also not seeing it.
Because right here is where,
Yeah, because you can make that change too.
and so then we come into here and refresh. Yes. I gotta re-add it here. There we go.
So, nah, it still doesn't.
Still doesn't work, yeah, and it's not putting the,
So try grand total.
it's not adding the cost. Can we go back
No,
to
it's,
the,
it's just doing it like this, so there's net add-ons, subtotal of add-ons.
yeah, and it's not really
total
doing
add-ons.
anything with it.
There's no
It's
markup.
not increasing the.
Hmm.
Go to the info tab just really quick so I can see what it's doing. So it's the 120, so it's not increasing
We're
the
marking
cost
up
or
by cost
anything.
type. I need to put in a markup for other.
Yeah, and so that's so let's go back to the project one. Yeah, you can go back to PM projects, yeah. And go over to the,
Well, what I think, real fast, even if I put this back to net, and I save this, and I come into here and add. how do
yeah,
I-
you can't add it, see, that's
Because
just
you
it.
don't- it's
Where do
not
I add the
your-
markups at?
It's in your estimate purchase details is where you define your cost type, so you
I need
almost
to-
have to add parking there.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you want it to be a,
Like a global,
let's go back to the, let's go back to the setup.
under projects.
Let's go to company parameters first. Okay.
Because the majority of that change order should be marked up at 5% because it's a sub, but the parking would get marked up at 15%.
right, I mean, I guess in this,
It's cost type 4,
Mhm.
is where it's saying I'm gonna post it.
So
So I
how can
would
you
have
mark
thought
it
that
what?
the cost would have gone into the,
You know what I'm saying? How would the markup apply? We're only applying it to cost type 3. We would have to add another markup.
well, see,
applied-
once you put cost type 4, we don't have a cost type 4 line.
Mhm.
what if we were just for kicks, if we would change that add-on to that 32,615 with a cost type 3 and just see if it applies a markup. There might be,
32, what did you say?
if you go back to, where did it have?
Change that to cost type 4, or that 4 to 3, so go
Yeah.
to PM company parameters.
Oh,
right
I
there.
got it. You're talking about right here.
Yeah, just change it to, you're probably gonna have to, well, I guess that works.
And so then come back
Let's see, because I have a feeling it's still not gonna mark it up.
refresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what it really says. If you put an amount in.
Well, here, let's do this. So it's not taking changes until I throw it in.
Yeah, it's still, it just doesn't, I just think it doesn't mark up add-ons. So,
Well, I looked at the help and it said it did before or after. It might be just the setting of that. So if I go to, let's just go here, and I go to here and hit F1 again. This add-on type will calculate an add-on amount based on the net amount plus markups plus net total add-on. So yeah, let's do grand total. Let's do grand total, let's put it to 3. Save this.
Yeah, but you really want the cost into. So you're gonna read in.
still says good.
What?
Did you change it on the project?
Yeah. Oh, no, maybe I didn't. I thought I was in there, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
That's why.
What's that include box? See the include there? See what it says next, can you even check that?
Yeah.
It says, check to include add-on amount in subtotal calculations. Let's try that.
Oh, okay, yeah, Yeah, because it shows net, subtotal, and grand total. There we go.
Still not marking, I mean, I know the profit shouldn't change, but the contract amount should go up by $500.
Yeah, I got one more test.
And it doesn't look like it's doing that.
Well, it's not even adjusting the.
Oh, yeah,
contract.
it did.
The profit should change too, though.
No, you don't get any profit on it because it's cost. You have the same amount of cost. You have $500 in cost and $500 in contract amount because you're not getting any. Oh, but you get to mark it up.
I'm saying.
There's a
mark it up
markup.
15%.
Yeah,
It's not
okay.
marking that up.
No, it's not marking that up, but it is including it in the contract amount. So the only thing it's not doing is marking it up. It's not including it as a markup.
Could we,
It's not showing it in the cost breakdown either. So it's
Yeah,
like
and
contracts
it should be in the cost. It should be in wherever you
should be
told them to put it. It
for
should- yeah.
other.
yeah, so maybe that's just gotta get put in. Actually, I'd be curious to see on the change order report, so when we actually print out the PCO, whatever we would send to the general contractor, what that add-on looks like.
Yeah, we should look at that.
Because it might be written on there in a way that doesn't match how we're going to show it to them anyways, then in that case, we just gotta put it in the estimate.
Yeah, and you don't have a
Not
lot.
even bumped it to other.
Yeah,
Yeah, it didn't even bump it. See, it's got to increase the dollar. I mean, it's adding it in, but it's not putting it in anywhere. Unless I've got to, because I don't,
let's print out a report and see what it looks like. Like
yeah,
actually print out the PCO. I don't know how to do that.
the actual pending change order.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll figure out the amounts.
Okay.
So you can just go to you can go back to where you were.
Oh. Here?
No. Oh, yeah, is that the pending change order? Sure. So then just go to the little envelope thing there. Yeah, and you just, so this is where this is our PCO. You gotta select it, drop it down right there. So you got template. That's okay. Yeah, and there you go. And then you can view. I don't think you even need a two. Oh, you should be on this one. So you gotta go to the message field. Then you put the to field, and well, you can, actually, you don't have to do that.
For it.
Yeah, no, just cancel that. And then click the to itself.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Oh, all kinds of stuff.
that's the F6 there. So these are the project firms, and so you're sending this to somebody else usually, and not him, but that's it, and it's gonna print. Yeah, there you go. So this is the actual PCO. Now, if you wanna, so let's just see what it looked like. So it's just gonna, that's what it's gonna send. It's kind of
Not gonna work.
not good for you guys.
Well, our customers typically require a detailed breakdown of all costs.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's a report that we can. have.
Yeah, this you can change. I mean, all it's bringing in is the total.
Your logo here.
Yeah, so I mean, they're pretty rudimentary, these, not,
So that's a report that we need to make.
so this is a create and send template, so you can copy that. So we'll go look at the
Well, we have to go
reports.
for all of them.
Yeah. So, let's see if I do it one right here, what does it tell me?
No, here we go. So this is where it goes net, this is where it goes subtotal, this is where it goes grand total, then total. But it's all after the markup.
Yeah,
All of
so the thing is we've got grand total add-ons. We've got net add-ons, subtotal add-ons, grand total,
Those are our three
total
options.
add-ons,
Yeah, they're all below
and
the markup.
nothing, no percent.
I feel like the add-ons are, based on the definition, are percentage increases, are intended to be percentage increases above and beyond our markup total. So like, you know, the general contractor, you've got sales tax and B&M, and those are applied to either your marked up grand total or, you know, and I don't think it's intended to be, you know, indirect line items on a change order, which is unfortunate because it would have been a nice way to create process in the software to make sure people account for those below the line item indirects.
Yeah, when you have an amount one, there's not a whole lot of options. It's just gonna be a flat amount.
Well, we're gonna have to get to we're gonna have to see what,
Yeah, I'll take a look and figure out that again. I mean, you should be able to mark it up no matter how you arrive at the amount. Because you should have the ability to, what you really want to do is calculate it before and then have it included in the cost and then mark up that cost type. So if it generates an add-on that is going to populate cost type 4 or whatever, it should be able to say, oh, and the markup since you're creating a cost now for cost type 4, what do you want to mark up cost type 4? Right, isn't that what you really want to do? It's a cost type 4 gets marked up a certain amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not,
there you go.
See, that's what I was saying, taxes, bonds, right?
yeah, so those are all, they use the percent ones.
I guess, do you know if we're gonna be able to format that report to actually show the cost for each line item, then the markup?
Yeah, I mean, they're in there, so those fields are in the software or in the form itself, so you can do that. I'm just looking to see, does it have anything that's, see, you notice it's pretty, so this is all percents, right? Is it actually doing anything that's an amount based? Nice of them to make it really complicated looking.
Because we could set up the add-on, so if we were doing parking, for instance, which would be markup 15%, depending on how the report shows it, we can just set up the add-on. And you might have to do the calculation in your head, but if it's $500 parking plus 15%, then you just type in the add-on, it's $575.
Yeah, it says here,
And then name it parking cost plus 15%.
Yeah, and so it doesn't really, it's how it calculates the add-on, not necessarily, so all those totals are looking at something else. If it's an amount based, I mean, I gotta find something that actually defines how it works if you just put an amount in. How do I get a markup on an add-on that's just an amount? Right, I mean, that's really because it's not letting us do that. What is this? It says, check to include add-on in subtotal calculations. So if I include that,
Grand totals out of it.
yeah, that says it's enabled only when the add-on total type is grand total. Yeah, so it's all about calculating. Everything is all about calculating something. And so it says mount type add-ons are flat amounts. So the percentage is calculated instead of the add-on amount. The percentages, yeah.
It adds it to the total, then does a 6% add-on percentage.
Yeah, but it's not really doing any markup
Based upon
on
the
it.
markup amount. They'll just add it based upon the markup amount.
Yeah, I'm gonna find some more information on that to see if we can get like a total, because I've seen it where you can actually, include it and mark it up after, but I've only done it when it was, like a percent based. Like it was a percent, or it was a percent of something, or it was, based on cost. So it said, oh,
It takes,
this cost, I'm gonna calculate this add-on based on that, rather than an amount. So there's gotta be a setup and a way to get it to calculate a markup on that. Because you don't, I mean, when you pick amount, you don't really get to do anything, other than tell it, let's see.
and
cost
they're
type.
rolling. You see that add-on? The add-on, so if you have a second add-on, it's going to add on the first add-on amount plus the 10%, or plus the amount.
600.
Yeah, do like net amount 6,000, markup total 600, right? So it's doing the net amount plus the markup plus on number 2 plus 396, which was the add-on amount of 6%, equals that times 10%.
So I'm guessing the 600 is their fee, so 6,000 of direct plus 600 of fees, so it goes 6,600 times 6, which would be your taxes on top of direct cost and fee. Yeah, and then your bonds would be direct cost plus fee plus taxes, and then that 10% is taken on top of that net total, yeah.
It's
And I think that depends on those various setups, so I wonder what they selected for bonds. It was probably
It's a percent.
yeah, but in order to get it to those 3 options,
Oh,
were based on if you select net total,
Yes, right.
the 3 various options.
Then it actually means something,
Yeah.
those goal, net and sub and grant.
Mhm.
When you do amount, it's just saying, well, it's flat, and then but I don't understand,
Here.
because it is adding it into the contract amount, but I don't see where it's posting it, because it's supposed to create a cost line too. It's supposed to say, oh, I'm gonna increase my estimate $500 too. Doesn't look like it was, well, it must be doing it because it increased your contract amount, $500 or $200, whichever, but you don't see the actual, I'm gonna guess in the whole, behind the scenes, it's gonna make a posting, but you don't see it on the totals because it increased your contract amount, but the profit didn't go up,
No,
right?
neither did the estimate.
Right, but somehow it's saying, well, I'm gonna create a budget for that, but it's not part of my estimate. It's just a behind the scenes thing. When I post it, it's actually gonna increase that. Maybe we need to do what Isaac said and look at that PCO summary report or something. Maybe it'll give us a little clearer idea of what's gonna happen. You might be able to go up to options.
I checked, yeah, it doesn't.
Go to the info tab though, up above. Yeah, I think, does it? Yeah, there
Oh,
you
I
go.
see. Okay.
So let's look at pending change order, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, we'll try that, one of those.
Okay.
See if it gives us any information. Kind of not so much, huh?
Not so.
Yeah, that's not a good one then. Let's try the other one. There's another one that was, yeah, one of those. Yeah, sure.
Oh, I just saw
If you-
a checkbox there.
Yeah, if you include cost details, yeah. So yeah, it does include it in the cost over here. See how now it's $3,338. You don't see that on the actual detail. So it's increasing your cost, but it's also increasing your contract amount. But it doesn't look like it's doing any markup on that 500. which we want it to do. We'd like it to mark that up. So I don't know, maybe maybe I'm not gonna be able to do it that way. Maybe we're gonna have to add it as just in the change order itself,
In the estimate.
in the estimate, yeah, because, I mean, it's got everything except there's no, the markup should go up. And I don't care if so the profit should increase by some percent of that add-on.
Right.
I'll do a little more research and see if there's a way to get that add-on to be, although the definition of an add-on may be, you don't get to, it's just something in addition.
Yeah.
It doesn't increase you don't get profit on it, because it doesn't seem like we get to mark it up. So it may be that you just have to add those as line items in your estimates.
Yeah, or pre-mark up the add-on, so, you know, if it's $20 a day for parking, you just put in that parking rate, you know, put it in as $23 or whatever it is.
I think that would confuse the client and they would be unagreeable to seeing it in that format to show a
Yeah.
profit line item for just direct cost and then build in below the line item or below the markup line items with profit built into them so that they lose visibility of total markup on I think they would be confused and unagreeable to that format.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to figure out a way to get it represented in a way. We can't just turn it in one line item.
Sure.
I didn't ever try this either. I mean, if we go into here and do parking, oops, dang it. Touchy.
It is. Yeah, if you do this and you put in, so there you would put in your, whatever you thought it would be, $500.
Yep.
Then you just, that's all you gotta do.
Okay.
So if you click, yep, there you go. Now you would put in your 15%.
15?
Yeah.
So now you see how your others actually got 500? And your profit went up a little bit. So should have gone up like, went back to the markup tab. It tells you how much it went up. Should have gone up $75. That's what you really want.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if we could just do it through the add-on. It would but I don't know if that's really, maybe it's easier just to do this.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could auto fill some lines in the, I don't know if you can template the estimate portion so that there's always parking, you know, so that there's a list of things that people know that they need to count for.
Yeah, I don't know if you can, I don't know if I can do that from here. Go up to File, just see if there's can I do something up there? Be on the, go up to the Info portion up above, and then go up to File. Go over to Tasks. Let's just see if I've got something there. Copy PCO. Click on the update PCO items. Let's just see what that says. What is that going to no, that's not good. Go back to the tasks and say copy PCO.
Let's create another one.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if it was something that I could copy from somewhere else. Just trying to think if I could say, I've got something I can copy from. I didn't see the ability to like bring like a whole set of phases in
Yeah.
already. So it doesn't look like it. It's kind of, it's adding items and stuff. So I'll
Yeah, I'm
take a
just
look at
looking
that.
on here because it said like load PCO item cost. I don't see an items tab.
Right, and then our current change order template, parking is always shown in a certain spot. Now, you know, parking and small tools and what's another typical
Warranty. something,
warranty,
so-
they're all shown in the same spot, and now they're gonna get shown at different, it's gonna create inconsistency among projects or even among change orders on the same project, unless we can find a way to allocate those costs into the correct spot on the final printout template.
So what is this add PC, what are the PCO items? Would those be like preloaded items?
If you click that, go ahead and,
If I did phase, and I said, it added that in.
yeah,
But let's say if I did this.
that's just gonna create another item for you. So you've got
Oh, I see,
PC, right,
my
yeah,
item
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But, well,
What was the choice there? There was another little checkbox. Let's see.
over here,
Yeah. See, it says never mind, just pre-fill contract item. It's not gonna,
I just wanted to know if I was on here. What the heck is this? I just wondered if these were stored. But,
those are just, those were all your vendor as, instead it's the subcontract vendors, the PO vendors, and then just the phases. So it's just saying, oh, I can create another item and the item I can automatically add that phase in. So I guess what you could do on a PCO, if you want, item one could be the,
so I'm
the
thinking multiple
estimate.
items, yeah.
Right, and item two could always be parking, and item, or whatever, and item three could always be warranty, and item four could always be something else. So you could always say that was the structure, but, you'd have to, somebody would have to add it that way
Yeah.
in order for it to always show. So, so on item one is gonna be the additional stuff, and 2, 3, 4, 5 are our standard, I know we call them add-ons, or just the extra, like, I don't know, administrative stuff or whatever you guys delineate that as.
Yeah.
So you'd have a PCO item, one would be the actual cost to do whatever the change order's for, and then two would be, so if you added PCO item two, you could make that. Yeah, so if you pick a phase, and then you pick, just pick parking just because we're using that one, and then if you say add items, and then you close, it should have created two. Now, if you go to the info tab, down there. So right there, instead of having it be, you could say bulletin 2 costs, but it also could say, you could put parking in there. Bulletin 2 costs parking or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that's how you'd want to, because you could put a different description on the items other than because the typical default is that it's just going to default whatever you had up in the header. Yeah, and if you save and then refresh, there you go. So you could have, but you could also say parking or relate it to it, but it's still all linked to PCO item 1, which is the bulletin 2 costs. And once you put $500 in there, or whatever the parking is,
That's weird. It kept the add-on, and copied that over too.
yes.
Okay, there we go. And so now,
Yeah, and if you deleted it off of 1, did you delete the parking off of 1?
no. There we go. Whoa.
Yeah, that's okay. It should just, there you go. So now if you go to the grid, where did 2 go?
That's what I'm saying, it was.
Oh, no, go to the
you
estimate.
you were not in the.
You weren't in the estimate.
Yeah,
Oh, I got
you
you.
deleted.
Yeah, you deleted the item. Wonder why it said there was additional stuff, but oh well.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think it was the estimate item that was getting deleted.
Yeah, so delete that. Yeah, don't,
This one right
that
here.
right there, yeah.
And then go to here.
Go to 2. Yep. And now go to your markups. And then, yep. And then now you should be back where you were.
Yep.
So everything went up, but you made a little more money, 15% on the 500. And then if you needed to add another PCO item for small tools and one for PM and one for, I think that's gonna be the way to do it rather than the add-on doesn't seem like it's gonna work, especially in the amount. And then you don't see it, you know, it was all behind the scenes.
Or if it's, we just have a standard direct cost as line item 1, and then the various additionals are line item 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then for that one line item, direct cost, we could put a note, see like direct line item cost breakdown,
Just all
a backup sheet that shows all the details of what a client would
Yeah,
need.
just like a standard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna have to be restroom if that's okay. Oh,
Even some stuff like that.
because that was so much fun this early.
Some of these, ASIs that come out, you have to have multiple line items.
Yeah.
Just for the changes, even outside of just parking and stuff.
Sure, yeah. And that's what I'm saying, is like just have one line item for direct costs, and then that backup sheet shows all those various breakouts, and then that total should match the line item on total on the spreadsheet. It's not ideal, it's kind of goofy, but
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way around it just based on what it's.
Yeah.
So it's a possible point of.
It's just puts it in per line item too on the report, even the summary report, because they're separate PCO items.
Yeah.
Instead of rolled into one, so then you get your line item detail too.
separate question, Corrine and Will, you guys might know the answer. Project-specific software, does it get charged to the project or to company overhead?
The project.
To the project, right? Like if you needed Bluebeam Extreme and there's a $200 license charge on that, that would go to the project.
Does it?
How does it, How-
If the
how
job,
would
if
it
the, if the
get
job
charged?
is substantiated, I would charge it to the project.
And you quantify, you know what you have all that info?
Hmm?
You have all that info for all the software and everything?
So I would
And how?
think that if we needed to purchase an additional license for a project, then when it's purchased, it would need to be charged direct to the project. Otherwise, if we get invoices coming in that are just like, oh, here's our renewal for Bluebeam or whatever else, that just goes straight to overhead.
We
So
would
unless
like
it's,
to,
yeah,
but, so with our current software, they're like Office 365 and stuff, which is paid on a monthly basis.
is that one that gets charged to Dave's card?
Yeah.
Yeah, that all just goes straight to overhead.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Bluebeam Extreme is for Third and Lenore. They needed to maintain their document set.
And
my
that
thought
job is substantiated.
Yeah, and Bruce came back and he's like, I'm not paying for this, it's not my job, it's a company charge.
Who said that?
The PM. He just doesn't want to cost on his job, right? He's a good PM, so he's trying to increase his gross margin. I get it, but my thought is specifically for that job, is there a way to buy it on that job, and when that job's done, there's no more card or account open, so it automatically dies off. And if Kyle Fickus needs it on in this next job, then he'd rebuy it on his next job.
Yeah, how would that work?
Well, what we would do is we would take those costs and break them down into a monthly fee.
So we would purchase a separate, it would just be a matter of,
We would have to have like a contra account, so we would purchase to that, right? And then relieve that by month, just like we do with our rentals kind of, in a way. I mean, because it's not a contra account, I guess, it's a purchase software that we purchase, but then we need to come up with, not an hourly, but maybe a
Well,
monthly fee, and then charge that like a rental to the job, I would think.
yeah, but the thing is at the same time, there would be nothing to substantiate. There would be no,
Well, we attach it, so we can attach it to the stations, and then it is.
Right, but in that case, you only get 75% of the purchase price, and you technically, if it's required on the project, you should get the whole thing.
Yeah, and so what we do is we raise our I think we came up with that. I already came up with that, so maybe you are using that for like a PM workstation, a CAD workstation. And so like our CAD workstation amounts are not the amount for just the hardware that we use, it's all the software included. So our, Autodesk software, all that stuff is included in that purchase price for that computer. And then we've taken that and came up with a hourly, daily, monthly, whatever.
Yeah, but that's not charged through the rental program, is it?
It's on the rental
Not
sheet.
through Tool Watch, no.
Not through
Okay.
Tool Watch, no, but it's on that sheet.
Yeah, it is on that sheet.
Then I would say it
PM.
would probably be something similar, but it would just be a matter of what you would
Well, there
provide
we go. So
for
Stephanie,
substantiation.
I think a while back, was it you or Stacy who requested total software cost per workstation? I think Stacy might have. We did it for the convention center.
Yeah, which that's a little different.
Gotcha. But those costs that we updated those stations are like the cost for those stations. So I took all the software per a CAD station, all the software that a PM would use, like Bluebeam, Microsoft Project. Microsoft Project would pay on a monthly, so that's an easy one to bring in. And so I calculated all those costs for a total purchase.
The question is, on Third and Lenora, they need to buy Bluebeam Extreme, and the PM would like that cost to not be hit his job.
Because he thinks it's going to be better.
Sure, it's gonna hit his gross margin. They'll take a hit to his gross margin, but my thought is that's a substantiated job. If we charge it there, we're gonna get paid, whereas if we get to overhead, we're just losing the money on it. But I don't know what our company standard is or the mechanism to charge it to the job.
Is that a yearly thing, Will?
For Bluebeam,
Yeah,
Bluebeam is a purchase, and then it's a yearly subscription
For
maintenance
Extreme?
contract. Mhm. And all their prices just went up this year too for that software.
So can we just buy a 1 year?
that's what
That's what I was
Directly charge
thinking is
yourself?
if they just buy direct, then that payment it would just be charged directly to the job. And then there would be if it's substantiated and it's used somewhere else within that year, then the other job is just kind of getting some free time with it, yeah. I mean, I think that would be the cleanest, and then if it's substantiated, then you actually have a specific invoice or charge that can be provided for it.
And since we're buying specifically the software and not charging it as part of the cost of the station, we can bill it at 100% and not 75.
Mhm.
So that seems like the best thing for the company.
I gotcha.
But is it
So
still
if that
gonna
goes,
not allow it if it comes through on a substantiation?
I don't know. It's like $200, and I'm surprised that we just spent more than $200, right? Is it?
It's more than that.
Is it?
It's
Really?
like 500 now
Oh, is it? Okay.
per station.
Oh, we spent half of that.
I feel like it has to be allowable though, because if you don't have it, we need it for that job.
Yeah.
So how can they say that they
So
won't pay
you
for
could
it? Because if we didn't have that
create
job,
a
we wouldn't
PCO
need it.
in a
That's
dummy
how I
project.
justify costs.
so I think that
Call,
when it's
and then
requested,
have
it's
it
gonna go through Scott or
just
something, just
already
making them
have certain
aware
things
of
in
the
it.
job
I got
to
you.
You
charge,
can
so
copy
it
that
doesn't
to,
come through and just get
you know,
posted
a
to
real
the
project with
Yeah.
a real PCO.
Gotcha.
number. So that's part of that
Potentially
PM
have
copy
them put them on a
change
credit
order I
card
was
and you
looking.
can charge it that
So
way.
you could do that. And then they'd always be in the, but then,
That just seems clunky though.
yeah, it seems a little clunky because
I hate
you'd have to put an item one in, which was really just,
Yeah.
nothing.
They're like, oh yeah, we forgot.
And then what if you need more than one
Oh,
item?
yeah,
Correct.
that check
And you-
you
and
just
you
went
don't
to the
want
bank to get a copy
Parking to be
yesterday,
item
you can
two,
find
or
that.
parking only to be item
Would you
three.
not tell me that?
It would be
But I
messy.
You know, it'd be
yesterday.
messy. If
I don't
we,
have that, so now what, I have to go to the bank again?
so I think the
To get the front and back.
add-on for, you
don't have
work
the
for,
ability
you
to
might work for
online.
bond, or some of those other things.
Yeah,
It doesn't look
you can see
like
those
it's
online nowadays and go
very-
screenshot.
If you
That's cost.
deposited,
And then
you
mark
can
it.
see the
Yeah,
checks
that's
that
would
you
be
write.
a,
but you can't
Yeah, but not
see
deposit,
the
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just
I
do
like-
that
yeah.
and put it in an SOP like that.
Actually, I don't know if
It's
if it's a
$5.99.
check that you deposited,
$5.99.
I don't know if your bank can give you a copy of the
They
front and
can't
back.
because she asked me yesterday
Yeah.
why I wouldn't think to be like, yeah, just in case. But I'm like, why would they
Is
care
it-
about?
Oh, $599
back?
per license.
Yeah,
You said it's a yearly.
other than my signature. Other than
And
the
then
endorsement,
yearly
yeah.
maintenance.
we're so
I
stupid.
didn't endorse it.
Because it came from
Actually,
one account,
So
and
maintenance
they,
is.
at the time, they couldn't just
Sounds like you
transfer
had
it
to get
in,
one
so
vendor to
they wrote me a
all
check and mailed it to me. and I-
Maintenance is $150
Here's
per
the check
per
coming
year.
out of this account.
Huh?
It kind of
150
wasn't
per
enough.
per
I
year.
had to go into the bank. and get-
Let's go over to the, back to the create and send template,
Because it was
because
over
Isaac had a
$5,000.
question.
yeah, and then when I went to the bank, they're like, we
So,
can't find it.
the-
I'm like, I
Are you
don't
guys,
know
I mean, we'll come back to this, but are you pretty comfortable with how this works? Yeah,
okay.
So, and the other thing that you can do,
You have an
is
electronic copy
you-
somewhere.
if it's a, that you may estimate it, right? You may estimate the PCO, you can import that into a PCO.
Because they should.
So if it's in the next, in our Excel
Because somebody
spreadsheet,
that
we
did
fill in
that
the,
underwriters caught it.
our little one.
Mhm.
Did you notice, like, when I went to that upload option, down below it said upload, go over, let's just go back really. So go ahead and minimize this, we'll come back to it. And you get out of that.
I got it.
So you got something,
You're in, that's from pending change orders, you got that.
yeah, you're in a lookup. There you go. Right, so let's go over to, right, and let's go to the estimate, import estimates. And just go straight to the upload in the PM, the one that we can't do. So see down here, you can upload as a PCO.
Okay.
So you could have all that information in
We
your,
don't have any.
There we go.
in your estimate.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That's it.
So we're talking about back to the add-on thing with parking and stuff like that, right? And doing individual PCO items. Well, under the PM import estimates, you could just import change order, pending change order info. So we could actually have a template with some of that information possibly already on there,
Yeah,
like the parking in a template. And then we would have to figure out their entry. So it would be like an Excel document. Back to
it's
that.
like doing an estimate for the PCO.
Which is fine, huh?
Yeah.
Because you may, like you said, there's some calculation that you want to do.
Yeah.
So you could probably come up with a way to calculate what the PCO is going to be and have the fields, because you're going to be entering some numbers from somewhere anyway. It's not that you just go in and guess, right? You kind of calculate something. I mean, you know, when you're doing a pending change order, you're just not putting in numbers like we stuck in there. Then you can use that to bring it in, and then you can just create the PCO using this. And then it would populate all those fields, and if it's standardized, where it's always item 2 or whatever, this may be the way to make it a little more consistent.
Yeah, you know what I'm envisioning for this, for all these outside things that we're gonna import? Because there's more than just this, obviously estimates, a change order. I'm sure there's gonna be other things. I'm almost thinking of another Access database that does all this, all in one thing, right? So we don't have these Excel files, templates, whatever, where are we gonna locate those? Who's gonna do, you know what I'm saying? Almost creating a front-end software that is click on, and it has modules in it, buttons, I want to generate a PCO, I want to import an estimate, and it auto formats and then spits it out to the format that's needed here.
The only thing there is sometimes you need the flexibility to somewhat drastically change the formatting of a change order.
Yeah. I'd almost think maybe, like a macro enabled Excel file.
The same
Because
thing.
you'll have to, some contracts don't allow certain types of markups or have different markup structures. So if it's in Access, you're kind of locked into whatever format that is.
But even like Rainier Square, we had, our standard change order template, but we had, the big IFC change order, and the change order, the front sheet of what that change order looked like had to change drastically just due to the complexity and size of that change order.
What do we mean though? So what I'm talking about is just spitting out a data file that can import in. That makes sense?
But not linked to any fields in Vista?
No. So like your Excel, macro-enabled Excel, basically. I'm talking about generating that exact same thing with all the options just within Access, because Otherwise, you're gonna have an estimating Excel template, you're gonna have a PCO import template, macro enabled, you're gonna have whatever else, right? So I'm talking about taking all of those, same concepts, right? But putting it into just an access, basically, format to where I could do it by a pull-down selection or whatever, saying I wanna do an import estimate, right? And then it takes you to Excel in the end, basically, it just places everything in the right formats.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That
It's
somewhat
collecting it
does,
into
yeah.
one place, basically, instead of having things spread all over the place as far as these template files.
Okay, I think I have to see it.
It's just a front end is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and all it's doing is basically organizing the data into, so that your end would be a button that you press that would be export importable file to Vista. And it would reformat it basically however we want it
to work in here.
There you go.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
And there's, and I don't know how to do this, but there's also a way to connect to the Vista database
Mm-hmm.
through ODBC.
Mm-hmm.
So you,
That's exactly what I would do.
so
That's
I
what I'm
think,
talking about.
right, that's what I'm thinking. And then it would pull in, it could be project-specific markups
Mhm.
that it could use then, because if you created them on the project form, it would know what the add-ons are,
Yep.
not the add-ons, the markups are. And then it could calculate automatically all the stuff for you. And it could pull in the project phases and all that, so there's, I just know it can be done, I don't know how to do it.
Hey, at least you can,
There's, I had I had a logging company up in Canada. It was one of my customers, like out in Fort St. James, like out in the middle of nowhere in British Columbia. And there was a guy that was doing this, I forget what he was doing, but he was there and he was showing them all kinds of stuff on that. Oh yeah, you can do this and download it, and then you can fiddle around with it, and it brings all the data in out of Vista, and you can, create an import file. So I just said, okay, that's way more than I need to know. Okay, so if we let's go to create and send docs. Templates, yeah, sorry, templates. And then let's look at that PCO one. It's probably the VPPM. Yeah, I think it's this, I think it's that PCO request. Wasn't that the one that we just looked at?
I think so.
That's the
Because
only
they
one.
got pending.
Yeah, so go ahead and, if you go to, I know we can't get to them, but if you look at the merge fields, and then the problem is if you go to, let's go down and look at, oh no, let's go back up to the PCO. Is there a PCO? I want distribution. I don't want header. Is there a PCO one that says like line item or something?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is the right one.
Yeah, because somewhere in there it found the total, and that's all it brought in, right? Status. Maybe it's not the right one. Is there
Yeah, I'm
any?
not seeing it. Yeah, it might not be.
Let's go back to the grid then and look. Oh yeah, that's fine too, if you want to like run it.
Just hit it first, yeah, and see. Let's get this and go to PC.
Pending change orders.
And then hit this guy.
So we're using the typist PCO. Let's see, what's the drop down? PCO request.
It is, huh?
Yeah, so let's go back to that one. I just wanted to see if there was actually, those fields were available to bring in more detail. Why don't we just copy this one? You can go up to File. Yeah, there you go. It'd be really nice if it pre-populated.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Yeah, and you can call it whatever you have a naming convention for this?
Not yet. We're gonna make one.
Well, you did your subcontract one.
Yeah, we'll do AM.
And then if you don't like it, you can always just delete it. I mean, we're just gonna, yeah. And then that goes, it picks custom, there you go, perfect. Okay, now you just copy it. Yep, okay, so now if you go back to the grid, oh, there, it's right there.
There.
Okay, so then go down to the bottom here. And yeah, let's add a new one there. I think you just, yeah, I don't know if you do a plus or if you just tab over and then do an F4. And then click in that responsible, yeah, right underneath responsible person. Yeah, do it now, do an F4 and see what we've got.
Nothing.
And what's, if we pick PCO header? Yeah, and we do okay. And then if we click in that field, and what do I have here? Yeah, so I don't have anything here, okay. Yeah, so what we really want to do is we need to, somehow we need to get the detail, because it doesn't look like it's bringing in this is not linking to the items.
Yeah, let me try something real fast.
And like you see exactly what that is.
PMOI.
Yeah, and it's the PCO item, but yeah, it's the view of PMOI, which has all the information. So it's only bringing in the amount from the header. So somehow we have to link that. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to go back to where we were and change it, because we really want to see, you want to see all the items, right?
Mm-hmm. Nah. There we go. This is totals.
Yeah, so maybe it's, so it's in there.
Document object, PCO items.
Yeah, so go down to the edit the template. Just click, oh, no, I don't think you need to. I think if it's there, we should be able to pull it in.
Yeah, it's there.
So let's
Not
just
under
cancel
here.
that, and we'll just, yeah, so let's go to the, let's go to edit template and just see if it's gonna open it up down here in Word somewhere.
There it
Yeah,
goes.
there it goes. So if you go up to the merge field insert, let's just see what we have. We have, so if you look through there, is it in that list?
PCO item. Unit price, amount.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, so it's, so you can, if
It's
you
all
come
there.
in, so if we come down to PCO item,
Right here.
yeah, so we can add multiple, it should add multiple items.
It is.
Yeah,
It
so,
is. Yep.
so as you add them, if we have more items, it'll add the item. So it's already kind of pre-set up that way. We only had one item on the first one.
Correct.
If you had multiple ones, it'll put them in order.
It just didn't show the estimate ones, but if you do them as individual items, if we then
Right.
in that report, it shows them.
Right. So I think this will still work. I know it's not super fancy looking, and it may not be,
Oh, we could change this.
yeah, so this is really easy. Okay, so I think we're good there. I mean, what else? Are you guys okay with PCOs? Is it pretty simple, or do you need some more? I mean, I'm not,
Well, I took a
So-
note here for like, the import thing I think is going to be a big thing for templating. We would give options on there for change orders on that macro enabled, whatever we do, it's Access or Excel. And we would have some pre-filled ones for like parking, whatever we wanted, right?
Yeah.
As selections on there that are already predefined. And so it's almost like templating, like we were talking about here. They would just load them in.
Okay. I agree, yeah, that's going to be big in order to get it in the way
Mhm.
It'd be nice if our change orders coming out of the system look like our change orders now, because I think with a couple
format.
changes, yeah.
The one on SharePoint?
Yeah, let's find the right template. I think the one on
Okay.
SharePoint still highlights the subtotal and not the grand total,
Okay.
just cost issues.
Gotcha.
Oh, they just go for the subtotal.
Yeah, I previously before I worked here, I worked for Turner Construction, and I was out on vacation for like a week and a half, and someone was covering for me, and they got a change order from Christine, and the subtotal was
So you got the
highlighted.
other side of it.
So they paid Christine the subtotal amount, and when I got back, she was like, "Hey, Justin, can you help here?" And I was like, "Well, we went to the client. You know, shame on us for not looking, but it's highlighted in bright yellow, right?" So the guy just sent that to the client, and
That's
they were
funny.
like, they approved it.
What template has a subtotal highlighted? I wonder why.
I think most of them. What's yours look like, Isaac?
So from you guys, I'm gonna need all these documents
Yeah.
of what
Yeah.
is the real, you know what I mean? I can go hunt, but I wanna know, I want you guys okay,
Right.
blessing or whatever it is.
But it's the only one I have bold and control change.
Yeah. So most of the templates have that line item right there, bright yellow.
Huh.
In here, don't do it that way.
Yeah. So, no, I think we should get all of our templates together and create that version record table of contents that shows, you know, so every single one of our templates should have a version number on it, so that if a PM, you know, they've got their template and we say, hey, look at, here's the current version record for Q3 of 2018. Make sure all the templates you're using are the current version record.
Yeah.
Then we should post that to SharePoint or wherever our top.
Totally for now, but then once we get them digitized in here, then we have revision history on those templates, because they're better, you know? So we'll be good.
So the only thing I had for change orders is once they get approved, I worked in SAP prior to this, and there was like a execution that needed to occur in order to get it to hit the budget. Is there any process here that?
Sure, so we'll go to there, let me just accumulate. It's actually kind of nice because you do it from the pending change order form,
Okay.
so we'll look at that too. Just assign you what else is homework. He already knows he has to do it, I'll just put two. So I just said you're gonna accumulate all the documents that you're gonna need, and then you're gonna actually find the one that we have, and then copy it, and then go in and make it yours, and change it all. So it works right, and bold the things you need to bold, and, you know, because you can go into that document in the merge, and you can, you know, it's got a total line, I think already, if it does, I think it had a total, I'm hoping it does. You can bold that, or, okay, so if we go back to the pending change order form, I don't know if we've already got it open, but, okay. So we'll just pretend like, so this one's in a pending status. So if we're going to approve it, we actually have to go to each of the items, and we have to say, all right, I want to add because I can't approve this without adding a contract item. So we left it blank because, yeah, and you don't, I mean, there's probably not one that you have there, but you can look at the list and you can say, oh, I'm going to add something. So I don't, yeah, and I can just type it in that field there. So I don't have to do it here. I can just type in what I want to call it, like whatever your numbering is going to be, like CO number 1 or CO-1, or I don't know, whatever you want. Right? And then you could, so if you hit tab, it opens up this form, which is just the contract item form, really. So now you can come in and say, oh, do I have the right department? Is it the right unit of measure? Because it just defaults based on what all the other ones are. And you don't put any contract amount in because that's going to be determined when we get through the process, when we actually, because this goes from a PCO to an ACO, and then it's approved and then it's interfaced, and then it'll automatically just populate all that. It creates the contract amount and it creates all the estimates all at the same time. So now you can use that same one, right? Because it's already been created. Now, it put in the description of bulletin number 2 cost, which can be fine, or you can, you know, you can put something else in there
I think if we use the one, I mean, that's what the change order is about, so we put in for the info for it,
That's nice.
for the title, so.
Yeah. Okay, so then if you click save, because it still wants to be saved, now you can, so I'm gonna come over to here and I have the ability to approve the PCO. So I'm approving PCO 1, but say you had a whole, and I'm just giving you some other things to think about. You might have 20 PCOs. And I don't know about you guys, but when we were in as a GC, they just approved things like willy-nilly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they came up with them. I didn't. But it was like, oh, it's your PCO 2 and 10 and 15.
Yeah.
And their owner ACO number 45 or something.
Yeah, that's common for us.
Right. So you can highlight those on the grid. You can highlight them, like you can do control, or yeah, so you could approve both of them, or we'll just do one. And then if you go to the task and you say approve PCOs, so it's just, so here I can also click there and I can add more PCOs.
Okay.
And if you go to the PCO items, so that's the items under here, we can selectively approve two, but typically they're giving you all the items. I mean, hopefully they are, right? So if you go, right, so the ACO number is not, that's the owner's number, so they've sent you back something.
Yep.
That said, here it is, you can put in 5 or that's like the owner's change
Yeah.
order?
Or
Yeah.
the general contractor's change order.
Yeah, sorry, as a general contractor, I'm always in a GC world,
Sure.
And then you can put the description there. So it automatically populates, but if you want it to be something else, like they may want it to be, they may want to see on the schedule of values, they may not want to see bulletin number 2 costs.
Yeah.
On yours, they may want to see something else. That,
Controls upgrade or whatever.
yeah, whatever they call it. Yeah, whatever the GC is coming.
Mhm.
It's got the approved date. It's got the new completion date, which I don't know if we added any days, even though there was 0, that's right. As you said, we didn't get any, so it's just the same. So this is if we were actually doing some subcontract stuff, it would say, upon PCO approval, create a single sub change order per vendor. It's just some choices. I mean, you could create multiple ones if you wanted, and then it's auto approved. That means that it automatically checks them so they can be interfaced. If you were doing all this at the same time. Yesterday, I think the thing was that maybe we would just do them separately somewhere else. So if you're not doing anything, that doesn't really make any difference if you're not really adding a subcontract change order or a PO change order. So if you click approve, you might have to, yeah, so if you don't put a contract item in, it'll give you an error. It'll say 0 were approved, and then it would have errors. And then if you go to the item tab, and if you look over this way, there would be an error here. So it would tell you. The typical error is you forget the contract item. So it says, well, I can't prove it if you don't put a contract item in. It's easy to forget that because it's not the most readily apparent field because it's on the item and it's embedded in the, it's in there on the info tab. So it was already approved, right? So we just close this.
I think I know the answer to this.
But
Yesterday I asked the question, change orders, there's no authorization limit set in Viewpoint for the
No,
amount someone can approve a change order.
there's no. Like, you mean like a subcontract or just this?
Like a change order, like if Isaac got a $5 million change order, can he just approve it, or would it say, you
Yeah.
have the spending limit authority to approve a $5
Yeah, no, there's no workflow on those.
Okay.
It's just, and you're talking about a change order just like what we just did.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, there's,
because a lot of times we'll do pre-construction under a much smaller contract value, So it'll be like, $100,000 for
Oh.
design and pre-construction, and then they'll
Yeah,
change
there's
order
no-
the full contract value, and that should be, okay, we can just deal with that on,
Yeah, there is
Process
no,
outside of the
right,
system.
there is no option for that. So, this form actually is pretty nice because, if you go to, let's just make sure it's not in tasks. Okay, go ahead and do the drop down. So, am I seeing what no, I don't see what I want. So I could go directly to PM interface. And if I did that, ACO, this PCO, which now is an approved change order, would be there to interface. Or if you go to the create and you say approved change order, even though you're not creating one, that'll take you to the form and it'll bring over this one that we just did. So you can look at it over here. But you notice it's already approved. So I don't know what your steps are going to be. So once the PCO is approved, it automatically approves the ACO and then you can just interface. So you could, but if you want to come over here and look at it, you can. I mean, it's not really much different. Yeah, because you're not really printing anything out now. You're kind of done. You're just saying, okay, my next step is just to interface that and post, get the contract amount in and get all those costs in the budget.
So
That's a
we
process.
just approved a pending change order, but it's not interfaced yet.
Correct.
So that's, you're gonna be your QA, QC area is going to be the interface.
It
So,
can't, right.
That's your validation. So like McKinstry calls it, validation department.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They got like 6 people or whatever it was to do validations.
the only concern there is by the time it gets to the phase of interface, Isaac's already signed a change order and sent it back to the, so it's
True.
contract now, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
But
within
it'll
the
be,
system,
it'll be a bump to some people to go, hey, XPM has been approving $5 million change orders willy-nilly, maybe someone should go talk to them.
yeah, I mean, it's a process change though too. It's like you can't sign anything until it's been interfaced or, you know what I mean? We have to, because really that's your QA, QC in between PM to job cost. That's your middle.
So I guess what you could do is you could say, if we don't give them the ability, and I don't, I really have to go look because I'm not sure on the PM side of things. If I go, if we don't let only certain people can approve PCOs. Oh, but it's already been sent out and really they're sending back the document saying, so it's actually the creation of a PCO that is over a certain amount.
Sure.
There is no control there.
Yeah.
Because once you create that and you actually generate that document and it goes out, like, if it goes to them, that's been initiated, right?
Sure.
And then there's nowhere that says, oh, well, you can't send that out if it's over a certain amount. That's kind of an internal
Yeah, no software
procedure.
solution.
Yeah, so there isn't anything that, I mean, I don't know, you probably could figure out a way to say, well, sorry, you can't generate that because I just added it all up.
Permission
It'd be like
to
a,
not generate the document.
yeah, but that would be
It's hindering.
that would be something, I'm not sure exactly, I don't know how to do that. I mean, I'm sure you could do it, but it would be like a stored procedure kind of thing, like, oh, that document can't get generated. If when I'm looking at it, I know how much that, somehow I can find it in the field. And if it's over, $1 million, oh, no, you're not, you can't do that. And I don't know how you would, that sounds complicated.
It is
To me.
complicated.
I mean, I think it probably could be done, but it sounds like a hard thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a procedure outside of software. Yeah. That'll be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is that you just have to have procedures in place and people have to follow them. And if they don't, there's a way to say, oh, you know what, you just created that, but I never you never emailed it to me first.
It's a
So I could
security
review it.
permission on create and sends for that document type, right? You would not allow until it's interfaced. If it's interface, that means somebody's done the QA QC on it based upon a threshold amount too. So that's where it adds in another complexity. It can be done though, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a way to do it.
And I have, this might be a dumb question, but, you know, a lot of change orders we send through, you know, if it's like we were impacted during production for a certain area, so, you know, if we think we're gonna get $5,000 in something here, we send it out at 7,500. Or any change order where we're gonna get to some kind of a negotiated amount that's not equal to the PCO, would you just go back in and adjust the PCO before you approve it?
Yeah, so you put in like it wasn't those weren't like true estimates, it was just because you know you're trying to go high because they're gonna, like, they wanna feel like they did something and they got it down a little bit. So if they get it down to where they really wanted, kind of, yeah, you would just put in then you would go in before you approve it, because maybe they approved it for only 6,500. And so you still won, but.
Is that adjustment made on the PCO or is it input when you create the AC?
So actually here.
Because it'd be nice to have a record of what we submitted versus what was approved.
So what you could do is right here, if you make this full screen, is it already full screen?
No.
Am I on the, oh, let's go, okay, so this is the one we approved.
Yeah.
So let's go over to the ACO now. So we wouldn't change it here. So this was still 7,500, right?
And approved.
So go to approve change orders?
That was a
Yeah.
great question.
Yeah, that was a good question because, so you see how it's approved? And say this is the one that I want to change, right?
Yeah.
So I have to unapprove the item. Well, okay, I guess we're not on the item. I thought we were. Okay, so, and then go to the estimate detail. And then I can come over here and say, oh, I really only got 450, but I really only wanted 300 anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm still good.
Yeah.
They feel
whatever.
everybody's happy now because they feel like they got something.
Yeah.
Right, so now, you can approve that. And I think if you go back, I thought there was there should have been did it go away?
What?
Where did ACO item 1 go?
It disappeared when I unapproved it.
Yeah, so you just adjusted parking that was already,
Oh,
Approved.
yeah, and so, yeah, but there it is. Is that the one you adjusted?
he adjusted the
I
one that was
adjusted
still
that
approved.
one, but I unapproved one and it disappeared from here.
Oh, so one went back over to, so it was an unapproved, you unapproved the PCO? And.
So I don't think we unapproved, maybe we just go to estimate detail.
Yeah, no, but I thought it would stay here and I guess it didn't.
It doesn't. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so it's back, if you close this, it's back over as a PCO again. Yeah. See, it's back over here. PCO item 1.
And then under here, there it is.
Did you change that?
He hasn't changed
No,
that.
I just unapproved it.
He unapproved that went away and then he adjusted item 2.
Yeah, so that's
from
now,
500
that's
to 450.
partial, I can see, so that, yeah.
So it's
So that won't work very well, I don't think. If you unapprove it, it sends it back over. I thought we could just revise it over there, but it won't let you. You do an F4 here.
the back.
Yeah, so there's not a way to keep it as a PCO. And once it becomes an ACE, once you approve the PCO, but you will have a history. So even if you change it here before you approve it, did you approve that PCO?
Yeah. Maybe that's close. There it is.
Yeah.
Now it's 2 and 3.
Yeah, it's just AC. So if you go to the history though, let's just see, does it keep track of that? There's nothing there. And that's just added. But if you went back to the PCO itself, there's going to be a history there where you change the amount. So you'll know what you submitted it for, and then you'll know what actually got approved.
But here, when we were gonna change it, it still allows me to change it here. Under the approved?
Yeah, what happens if you change it and then hit save?
So where did it go away when you first unapproved it? It actually left?
Yeah.
Well, how come it's,
I added it back in and approved it. So like if I go to estimate or to the grid,
yeah, I would have thought that it would, I
and
don't
it
know.
added it as item number, ACO item number 3,
Yeah, but it's,
kept it as PCO item 1 into,
can you actually change that? And it's approved, right?
Yeah.
And if you go to the estimate detail, can you go in there and change that right now? Oh, okay. I guess, I thought that once an item was approved, it wouldn't allow you to change it, but I guess I'm wrong.
And then go to your,
well, it's not really changing though.
If you click refresh, is it going to change it? Yeah, that's kind of odd, huh?
Hmm.
And if you click save and refresh, I don't, yeah, see,
Well, there it goes,
yeah,
but it's not.
didn't increase your contract amount. Did it? See, your contract amount is, if you uncheck ready for accounting up above, see the little checkbox? Yeah. And if you click, yeah. Yeah, try that too. Okay,
No, it's,
now it's there. So you can change it. I thought you could, but then it went away and I was a little confused.
ready for accounting.
Yeah, just say yes, because we want to.
Interface it now.
Yeah, so now it went from the pending amount.
Yeah, because you should be able to change it even if it's approved at any point before it's interfaced.
Yeah.
and then if you print like an ACO log or a PCO log, will it show the amount submitted versus the amount approved?
Yeah, it should show, like the PCO should show one thing and the ACO should show the other.
Which is perfect.
Yeah. That way, I mean, you can have, I mean, we didn't even talk about internal versus external too. Because you can have internal change orders only.
Do we decide procedurally if we want to do that? Do
Internal.
for cost, for budget?
That's just the approved change order. That's not a, I don't know if there's an there might be one that shows PCO versus ACO. You know, I don't know if there's an actual report for that, but there's, you've got a different, yeah, that's a create and send thing.
Drawing log, inspection log.
Yeah, those are all forms. You have to go back up to the options again and see if there's any other reports. Go to pending change order costs. Yeah, let's just see that one. Is that the one you already ran?
No.
Yeah, there we go. So there's the pending amount versus the approved amount. You did pretty good.
Yeah, good job, Isaac.
Yeah, good job, Isaac. How'd you get so much? Of course, the estimated cost went up too, so, and you're not making any money now.
Yeah. Still made $126.
Well, yeah, so what happened? We must have done something incorrect there to.
Oh, we just
do
increased the
profit.
cost.
We
Yeah,
didn't increase the profit.
right, now, we didn't increase the profit.
Looks like we put in the approved amount and the estimated cost is the same.
Yes, we did.
So that doesn't work, right?
Yeah, we'll go back and say, oh, we don't like that so much. So if I uncheck the ready for accounting, see, the thing you don't have here is you gotta, somehow we have to save that. Yeah, say yes. And it should, before, didn't it open up that revenue amount up above there?
It was under here.
That's just your cost though.
And then up here,
Yeah, it doesn't look like I get the ability to change that. So I can, and the thing is like, again, I don't have the,
change that out, that's weird.
yeah, I mean, you didn't get to, there's no markup or anything else here.
There it is. There's an amount. But there's no markup, yeah. There's none of that stuff.
So if you change that to, that's the estimate though, right?
No,
Does that make your,
the estimate's under here.
okay, so does that increase your contract amount? If you click like, refresh,
Should have not saved. I gotta get this thing in a good spot. Right
that's,
there. There we
it's
go.
terrible, yeah. So, see, that doesn't do anything.
Mhm. I did change it here before when we got to refresh up here.
Amount approved for this item is 40,000. If you do an F1 in there, yeah, I don't know if you can actually increase your contract amount. You should be able to.
Well, we did it at one point, right?
Yeah, I did.
So
So I'm
what,
saying I did it and now it's not doing it.
and that's what I'm wondering, if you find a location where you can change your contract value, and then if you can change your estimate detail and the variance between those two numbers.
Becomes your
expected
profit,
should be
yeah.
your profit.
Let me see.
Well, that time it didn't flag me for anything either. Oh, I gotta save, that's why. Is that where it changed? No. Yeah, approved 40, estimate, then I hit a refresh. Whoa. Okay, just- There we go. I had to check the box for its initial as to be an approved amount, and then there's my estimate.
Oh, so once you click it, then it revises it. Yeah, so there's no getting into that field up above. It's down below.
It's down below.
And that-
in the info.
And that,
So under-
that's a little confusing because if you base it on the other form, everything down below is all cost and some markup. Here you've got an amount field, so it just says amount approved for this item. Well, is that the contract amount? I guess it is. It doesn't really tell you that. So you might, if that's confusing, it's confusing to me. So if it's confusing to you, you might change the label to actually be what it really is, right? It's not really just amount.
So that did work. You changed the amount approved and the estimated amount, and the variance between the two ended up as your profit.
Correct. And so if I come in here,
We're getting some very clear instructions there because it's somewhat confusing.
yeah. And so now.
A little bit.
It's just.
I would agree.
amount. I mean,
Yeah, and if you do an F1 in there, does it actually say it's the contract amount? I don't know if it
It
does.
says some leave it 0, it's an internal. It must be 0 internal for lump sum items, enter the approved amount for this change order item.
Yeah, so because it says it must be 0 if it's an internal, that's inferring that it's a change in the contract amount.
Yeah.
It's still not very clear, I mean, but, you know, the people that write those are not they're not construction people. It's just the way it is. It's just like some of the forms don't, you know, they're written by like computer people that don't know construction so much. I mean, they know a little bit about it, but they're not. So sometimes you say, well, hey, you shouldn't, how about putting contracting out there?
If I do this,
And then it won't actually reflect it until you,
and if I do, well, I'll just do that the same. Hit refresh, doesn't do anything until I uncheck
and then recheck,
and then save, yes.
and then recheck it.
And then recheck it because nothing's changed yet. Save, hit yes, and then hit refresh. and then it changed.
Right. So it's a little
There's your process.
delay. It's not the cleanest. If you go to the history now up above, let's see what it did. Not a whole lot. How about down below on the history? Okay,
That's where it's.
so there's your tracking. The thing though is it's gonna come over with one amount, then you're gonna change it. You might have to go back to the PCO to see like what you started at, and then you changed it over here because you didn't want to change it over at the PCO. And then now that report that we just looked at, that'll show you what the PCO was. I think if we go back to that report now, and the key to this is you got to be on the info tab. So in case you're running reports and you're not on the info tab, you can't get the report options. It'll say there aren't any. So that's what you wanted to see, right? Just in like a log like that?
Yeah.
So it's not super clear, but it does show you the pending and approved. So it's actually going to show you, well, the other one put them on different lines, right? Is this the same report?
I just read it with detail, yep.
Oh, okay. So, but this one you don't see.
Status approved.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, there you go. And so the original, well, here's the profit, but it's now the current one. The other one, I think it actually showed the profit for each, but for pending also. But whatever, I mean, there's your log, that'll work, so you can see what you started out with. Did they put it on it didn't really do anything, no.
I might need some help. I was kind of doing that in parallel, and I'm stuck on the grid of approved change order items. I get this error no matter what. Error inserting the record.
Oh, can you do the little undo up above?
He's on there, you gotta hit close, and it won't go away.
No, it'll go away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't want you to insert a record, probably. Is that what it was doing? Sometimes if you click in something, it thinks you want to insert something, and it's like,
Yeah, so when I went to approve the PCO under create or task, I guess.
oh, where you were on the PCO, you went up to tasks and said approve PCO item.
Yeah, let me do it.
And then, did you have a contract item in your, on your PCO down below? If you didn't, it won't work.
It should have been. I might have went to create instead of, I think I hit create instead of tasks. I think that's what I did.
Yeah, the tasks, yeah, create is so this is like a practice thing. You got to go in and practice this.
Yeah.
And then get that process down and document how you want to do it. And if they do want to make a change, say, okay, so it came back approved a different amount. Well, don't change it at the PCO level. I guess that's going to be because you want to keep track. You want to say, well, we sent it over at this, and it came back and they approved this. And so we'll adjust it on the approval form. And you'll document how to do that because it isn't, let's see, if I send it over, it got approved and I want to approve it for what I submitted it as, so I don't change my PCO, but over in the ACO, if it's not approved for what I submitted, then I'm going to make the changes there.
Yeah.
So I have the record, right. And so that's a little, not everybody does it that way, let's just say.
And then,
Not that it's wrong, it's just, I think that's a nice way of doing it. It's just makes it a little, you got to come over and uncheck some things and do some changes, and it's not really, save and uncheck and then recheck and then refresh, and then it finally shows.
Yeah.
And then I would think they'd run that report just to make sure, that one. And you know how you can take reports off of there, Will? You can, so the reports that show under the options, you know where to go and get them all, if you don't want all those.
No.
Okay, so over in the reports module, there's a forms reports by form.
Yep.
There's a choice there. You can,
That's where you add them and remove them?
yeah,
Okay,
right. You can uncheck some
okay.
because this is quite a few. But there's, I think, the AP workflow one, which I'm thinking maybe Margaret. That's got like 15 of them. So there's some that are just like, oh my gosh, if you've got too many under there, you can get rid of them. You can also go in and take all those off and just add yours. So, you can add your reports to the drop down too. Some people don't even like that. They say, if I want to report, just give me a button so I can just click it. Then I don't have to think about which one to run. I just click that button and it's the one you want me to run.
Yeah, the main ones.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other nice thing in there, if you're putting a lot of buttons, like reports and this and that, you can add a little group box,
Mm-hmm.
and they show you how to do that. Okay, that's kind of nice because then you can put them there and you can put a little,
Reports.
the name on it, yeah, or something. And then you can put them in order, like this is what you run, to look at it and see if are you really getting the profit that you thought you were going to get? Before I guess it's after the fact. If they've already approved it, you kind of stuck, right?
Yeah.
You can't go back and say, oh, no, we changed our minds. We want to do it for, you're kind of stuck there. Yeah. Well, who wrote all that up?
Did you?
I didn't do it.
This is what Kurt gave me. So I just went over.
Oh, I gave you that too. I just sent all those out.
Oh, did
So
you?
he already did it.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
all of them. For all
Yeah,
of
so
them.
I sent all the work, I gave them to Jeannie. They're on a drive, and also all the essentials. Those
Okay,
are just out, I think they're out on our SharePoint somewhere.
gotcha.
But the thing is we're not very good about sharing them.
Okay.
So it's like, not everybody knows that they're out there.
Correct. It took me a long time to get these from Kurt.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
I go, where'd you find all those? Oh, they're out on SharePoint. Where the heck are they? Oh, they're out here. What? And just like those essentials, that's
They're on
another one.
SharePoint.
Yeah, they're on SharePoint.
We have that too.
Yeah, but the thing is you don't know where on
Imagine that.
SharePoint. It's always, it's a great tool, but if you don't know where they're putting them.
Oh, yeah, we run the same.
How are you gonna find it? And we have all kinds of places you can go. I mean, like everybody's got their little SharePoint thing, HR, professional services.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. They're on, like where? Where do I find them out there?
Yeah.
Where do I find
They're
this?
either on a file share on the network, they're on SharePoint, they're on a box site somewhere, they're either on Dropbox, or maybe they're on Viewpoint for projects now, maybe they're.
Well, then
it's
They're
like,
digitally somewhere.
Yeah,
So, and
it's-
we do another one. So we have, sometimes they actually create like a little team site
Mhm. Yeah, oh,
for
yeah.
the customer,
Yep.
and then they put them in the other documents
Mhm.
folder for that. And they go, okay,
Mhm.
you're making this hard. So then you don't know where it is. And not everybody does it the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it funny how
Yeah, the file links
Inconsistency.
embedded in OneNote that points to SharePoint, which then makes you,
it's consistently inconsistent?
There you go.
Okay, so we went through that. Is that process going from, a PCO to an ACO okay? Is that gonna,
Yeah, I just gotta practice.
right, and so,
What's cool is we do have, everything we just went through,
yep,
is documented with the screenshots, so.
yeah, so you can just use this and, make it yours. I don't know if you want to go in and change because it is a Word document, right? I mean, you can change
totally
the
is.
screenshots
Yeah, but
to
they're
be
good.
yours if you wanted to, but I mean, it's all.
Yeah, this is going over what we just did on an approved change order. This is PO change orders. But anyways, it has the ready for accounting, how you uncheck it to make a change and check it again, basically.
Right.
Doing the refresh, blah, 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 all that stuff. So, it goes through before you interface or.
Yeah, and this covers, change orders to purchase orders and change orders to subcontracts.
Mhm.
And it should cover PCOs and ACOs.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I think, yeah, because you don't have to do the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it should talk about, and I don't really,
There.
I mean, there's other forms. I just really use the PCO and the ACO. I don't do the other ones. I mean, those are, they just never get used.
So
Never
you
had
got-
anybody use them.
So you got PM pending change orders, you got the request, right?
Yeah, you can do a change order request.
And then you have approved.
So the change order request is a way to bundle some PCOs.
Mhm.
If you, that's really what it is. But, I mean, I haven't had anybody want to do that.
We did it at Turner and SAP all the time. That's because we would get like, we would have a PCO log that we reviewed with the client. We'd have, 20 PCOs and they would say, I don't want separate change orders for all this stuff. And you just bundle it together into one super change order.
Right, so, because you're getting them all in from all the subs.
The
Like,
one thing I
boom, boom, boom.
haven't seen though is a good format for a log. Have we-
So if you go to the, go over to your, go back to the programs and go to that document tracking.
That's,
Yeah. And
when
then
you were showing me the red and then, yeah.
so of course, so your pending change orders, so here they are, and then the status is going to be right here.
And you got approved here.
Yeah, so, oh yeah, exactly. So this is like your log. Now, of course, those aren't
Combined.
going to be, there's no red or anything. It doesn't say like, oh, it's overdue. Well, you can't there is nothing that, we can't force them to do it. We can't say, hey, well, you got these PCOs and they're way overdue. There is no overdue on that.
Didn't we change these?
We didn't, yeah, we did.
Oh, whoa. Okay, I just clicked in there and they changed. That was weird.
Yeah, that shouldn't even be there though. Oh, you know what? You probably can't hide it here. Well, you probably can. So you can go in, do you have the ability to change that on there?
No.
Oh, you know what? You can go to, we can go to grid options and you can get rid of date 3. It's funny how though it didn't reflect until you got,
Clicked on them.
yeah, so here you can close that one. You can go to document tracking grids, I think. Let's try that one. See if that'll, do we have there's no view name. Okay, so close that. We gotta change it. So go to the views, document tracking views, and just create one.
Oh. Missed anything?
Well, it'd be yours. AM or something.
Oh, okay.
AM, or whatever you want, and you can just call it, AM grid views. So you can create your custom grid views.
I got you. It's not a view like a table.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, the guy that created this did that. So you just close that.
I got you. And then go to tracking grids, pull
Yeah.
that, and then
Then if you have to go to the grid under the grid view,
grid.
and then if you look at, what was the one? Pending change orders. Yeah, and then you go to the grid columns, and then you say uncheck, make it visible. There you go. And then save that. And then let's go back to company parameters since we did that. And then down here, document tracking view, do an F4 and put yours in there. So the only one you modified was the PCO one. Now if you go back to your, yeah, it should bring it in. Did it bring it in right? Yep.
Just once I click on those, they change.
Yeah, but
That's weird.
why, yeah.
Isn't that
it should.
weird?
Go close that again and go back to the grid views. No, grids, you're right. And go to the PCO one. There.
Oh, pending, there it is.
And then go to the grid columns. Yeah, and so right there, if you do an F4, is it like, so what I would do is I just change it here to match what you put. And then I don't think it matters, then it would just populate with the right name. It's funny how it's sort of linked, but not really. It's another thing for me to fix. Because you're right, it does populate with the wrong one, but once you click on it, it changes it. That's under your document types. No, you have to close this one. It's under document types. So if you go to the PCO one, pending change order, yeah, right there. And so those are so if you went over and if you copied and pasted those up, yeah, there you go. Then it would default. But to me, it should default anyway, and I guess it does, but kind of
In a weird way.
yeah, in a weird. There you go. Now, if you open your document tracking